Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to find true quiet these days? You have to seek it out, venturing out far past the last bars of signal, beyond the areas on the map where the names start to shrink. That's precisely what I did. I wanted no distractions. I just followed the gut feeling and had enough gas to go wherever it led me. I wasn't burned out, but ready to step away for a while. The semester had ended, and I longed to trade the noise of everyday life for open spaces and solitude. With each mile I traveled, the static began to fade. The noise faded away, and deadlines became a distant memory. The farther I got from the highway, the more I started to feel like myself again. When I finally stepped out near the rim, there wasn't a single sound demanding anything of me. No notifications, no reminders, just the clean canyon air and the gentle rustle of wind in the branches. The silence wasn't empty, it was filled with everything I had missed. It felt as if the land was saying, "You've made it. Now stop trying so hard." I'm out here in the middle of Utah, somewhere I didn't even know existed until a few days ago. As soon as the semester ended, I packed up the van with more food and drove out here. I didn't really have a plan, I just wanted to be somewhere else. I'm parked right at the edge of a large canyon. It's quiet, empty, and massive. I will say that this is by far one of the best spots that I've just woken up and you could step out of the van and there's this huge view right here. I was a little scared because of how close I am parked to the edge because there's these slabs that just break off, but I think I'm far enough away from the edge where I don't have to worry about that. I didn't expect it to be this cold out here. It's nice and sunny now, so it should warm up soon. I've traveled and gone my whole life exploring really cool places, but I've never even heard of this place. Alright, I need to warm up. Let's make some breakfast. I finally upgraded my cooler for this trip. My last cooler was not as well insulated as this one. This one is super thick and it's designed for up to a week. What I really love about this cooler is that it has a little organizational basket that you can put stuff like eggs, butter, fruit, and it keeps it separate from the rest of the ice. This cooler is way better. In comparison to my old cooler, I'm not constantly worrying about having to use stuff up or about food going bad. I can just use it at my leisure and I don't have to worry. It means that I can stay out here longer and slow things down a bit. It's honestly a big relief and I'm glad I don't have to race against the ice melting anymore. You learn quickly by going on lots of trips like this, what gear actually matters and what doesn't. This cooler might sound like a small thing, but for me it makes a huge difference in my quality of life and energy levels because I can have all the fresh food with plenty of nutrients versus the canned food and other stuff that I used to eat that I wouldn't need to refrigerate as much. But honestly, since having this, my energy levels have been so much better. I'm getting the proper nutrition now. It's amazing. I like to cook my eggs with butter, salt, and pepper on low heat. It's pretty simple, but they always turn out delicious. This looks amazing. So good. I love making a delicious breakfast drink with cacao to warm up in the morning. This drink tastes great and provides a steady energy boost without the crash. It's the perfect way to start my day. I've spent the last few days in this canyon, watching the light shift across the walls. Soft in the morning and sharp by evening. It's quiet out here in a way that's hard to explain, as if the land has been waiting for you to listen. There's no signal, just space and stillness. But it feels exposed out here. When the wind picks up, you feel it. When the sun goes down, it disappears quickly. Out here, you're not in control. And that's exactly the point. It's getting pretty windy up here. It's really cold. It's about 30 degrees with the wind chill. I think I'm gonna go down in the canyon and explore it for a little bit. Maybe I can find a spot down there. I've never explored this part of the canyon before. There's something about the unknown that draws you in. It feels remote and exposed out here. Whatever is waiting for me down there, I'll have to face it on its terms. You know, it's kind of crazy when you think about it that there are places like these that exist, and you can go your whole life not knowing that they're here, and there's just some people out there that'll never see places like this. It's crazy. I've never been down here, so I'm excited to see what there is. It's cold and dry, and it does get pretty warm here during midday, but I was just surprised how cold it got. With these dry conditions, it makes it especially hard to stay hydrated, which I've been trying to drink as much water as I can, but at this point, I think I just need an IV because I'm drinking all this water and I still feel like I have a headache. Been taking electrolytes, been getting a lot of sleep, but I just think this dryness kind of sucks it out of you after a while. So I'm gonna try to catch up on that, see if I feel any better. It's easy to underestimate how the desert can wear on you. It's stunning out here, but it asks you to be ready. And when something goes wrong, you're the only one out here to fix it. I'm at the start of this canyon, and these rocks are just massive. There's so many different textures, the greens, the browns. I just wouldn't think that this is here. This is just so beautiful. And the road is a dirt road, but it's really not that bad. It's always so curious to me how landscapes can just shift so suddenly. One minute you're just driving through regular plains and grasslands, and then you turn a corner and there's a giant canyon. I've never seen that before. Utah is something else. It's so beautiful. This canyon doesn't reveal its secrets easily. It narrows with every turn, the walls climbing higher as if they are closing in, guarding something ancient. I hadn't intended to stop here, but the silence felt oddly significant. It didn't seem empty. It felt like I was being watched. There were no trail signs, no signal. Just the wind, and a sense that something was waiting. I kept driving into more questions, as if the past had buried something out here and left just enough behind to follow. This wall is absolutely massive, and it has petroglyphs all alongside it. As I approached the wall, the canyon seemed to fall silent, as if I had stepped into a place that wasn't meant to be loud. Towering above me were ghostly red figures, some taller than I was, with arms missing and eyes wide, painted straight into the sandstone. Some of these images were created over 2,000 years ago by archaic hunter-gatherers. The Fremont added others centuries later, who carved their own symbols into the same wall, creating a dialogue written across 1,000 years. There are snakes, bighorn sheep, strange horned beings, and tall limbless watchers who feel more like spirits than humans. Some believe they were painted by shamans in trance, visions, spirit guides, ancestors, stories of the underworld. They are not merely art or decoration, but sacred messages left in plain sight. Standing there alone, with no one else around, it truly felt as though they were still watching, still waiting. You don't just look at something like this, you listen to it, and hope it tells you something in return. These pictographs are so cool, and this area is so beautiful. I could just spend all day here, but I have a lot of canyon to go down still, and I don't want to try to find a camping spot in the dark. It's easy to forget how quickly the light disappears out here. One moment, the canyon glows as if it's alive, and the next, it slips into shadow, like the day just slipped through your fingers. These ancient walls rise 1,000 feet above me, and the sun doesn't set, it simply vanishes. Standing there, I was struck by how much beauty exists in places that most people will never see. How many treasures the world keeps tucked away in silence, patiently waiting to be noticed. Out here, the canyon doesn't shout, it just waits. And if you're still and quiet enough, sometimes it reveals what it has been holding all along. I'm just watching the sunset before it goes beyond the canyon. This place is absolutely incredible. I like how the pink rock is interlaced with this green. It's like green little emeralds everywhere. What a great find. I had no idea this was here. It just goes to show you, you have to keep an open mind and just be willing to be flexible sometimes. This is way out of the way of what I would normally do, but I just found it. I'm gonna have to keep more of an open mind whenever I start looking for places like these. As soon as the sun dips behind the canyon walls, everything changes. The warmth simply vanishes. What was glowing just moments ago now feels cold to the touch. The rocks, the air, even the silence, it all caves in around you. Temperatures can drop quickly. 30 degrees by nightfall is not uncommon. The light bleeds off the cliffs, and suddenly your shadow disappears as well. That's the thing about places like this. They remind you that you're small, and that control is just an illusion. That was one of the most beautiful sunsets that I've ever seen. Now it's pizza time. Oh, needs to go back in a little bit more. It's not crispy enough. It's still too doughy. Yeah, now it's nice and crispy. I'm gonna let that cool and throw this one in, let it cook while it's still hot. Look at that. It's so delicious. Not gonna lie, I've been looking forward to this all day. Trader Joe's pizza is so good. It was an incredible day with lots of miles and new places I've never been. This canyon is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And I have this nice camp spot for the night. Sealed everything up, heated up the van. It's about 70 degrees inside and 40 degrees outside. It's probably going to get colder. It's usually colder in the bottom of canyons. If I get cold in the middle of the night, I will most likely turn on the heater then. I don't like to sleep with the propane heater on. It's just not safe with carbon monoxide. And with that, I'll see you in the morning. The cold wasn't the only thing that made the night feel long. When the world finally goes quiet, your mind doesn't always follow. There's something about sleeping alone in a place this still that stirs up your thoughts. I had some strange dreams, and a sense that something was off, as if the dark held more than just silence. Maybe it was the unfamiliar. Or maybe it was something deeper, a kind of unrest that follows you into sleep when you're not fully grounded. That's the thing about traveling alone. It gives you space, but sometimes that space fills with things you didn't expect. I slept great last night, and I woke up and it was 46 degrees this morning. There were a couple strange things last night in this canyon, and it was oddly quiet, nothing really going on. But I also thought I heard a car door slam, like right next to my van. And there's nowhere really to park right next to my van. So I looked out the window and I was like, okay, maybe somebody's here checking on my parking permit. You had to pay $15 for this site. And I did. I scanned the QR code and it went through just fine. I looked out and there was nobody here. So it was kind of spooky. It was really dark, no one around, no lights. So I don't know. Could just be the echo of the canyon, or maybe it's some kind of energy here. Who knows? I have no idea. It could just be the canyon. It echoes a lot. If I slam my door right now, you'll hear it. See? It echoes a little bit, but it sounded like it was right there. So I don't know what that is. Interesting. It was really cold up until just a few minutes ago. The sun just crossed this little canyon ridge here. Now that I'm fully in the sun, I think I'm gonna go do some yoga. I woke up feeling a bit off. Maybe it was the dreams, or just the weight of being in a place I didn't quite know yet. I walked to the clearing without much thought. Just knew I needed to move, to breathe. Out here, it's easy to feel ungrounded. A few stretches under the trees, slow breaths, and little by little, the canyon softened. The tension eased. With the sun climbing fast, I knew it was time to keep moving. I still had miles ahead, and a resupply waiting down the road. I have to try to find my way out of this canyon. I have no idea where this road goes. I'm starting to run out of water and food. As I made my way out of the canyon, the land gradually loosened its grip. The towering walls gave way to open sky. The road stretched forward again, and the stillness I'd grown used to began to lift. A single bar of signal blinked onto my phone, and just like that, I was back. But I could feel it. Something in me had changed. The stillness of this place didn't just surround me, it settled into me. And by the time I reached the edge of the canyon, I knew I wasn't leaving the same. That's the thing about stepping outside your routine. Into discomfort, into quiet, into somewhere that doesn't care who you are or what you left behind. And somewhere out there, past the next bend or the next canyon wall, there's more to learn, more to feel, and more to find. So I'll keep going. In all my travels, I don't think I've ever felt this small. I found myself on a stretch of dirt called Behind the Rocks Road. No cell service, no markers, and no one else around for miles. The road was rough, deep sand, sharp rock, and just enough clearance to tempt me forward when I probably should have turned back. With temperatures hovering above 90 degrees, everything slows down. You move carefully, you breathe shallow, and every so often, I'd catch a flicker of movement out of the corner of my eye. Lizards, jackrabbits, and other desert creatures darting into the nearest shade, like the ground itself was burning. This isn't Arches National Park. It's wilder. A maze of domes, fins, and hidden arches that don't care whether you find them or not. For the next 2 days, it's just me and the van tucked deep into Utah's Red Rock country, chasing sunrises, wandering through vast landscapes, and sleeping under a sky so big, it makes you forget what time even means. It's harsh out here, and I can't help but wonder, what will I find in a place this forgotten? I drive overnight to avoid the heat of the sun. By the time the sun crests the ridge, it's already hot. The kind of heat that doesn't announce itself. It just arrives and starts taking. The cliffs around me are Navajo sandstone, once dunes, now carved into form by wind, water, and time. 180 million years of erosion baked into the surface. Every plant has adapted, spines that throw shade, waxy skin, roots that reach deep down into whatever water is left. Even the sagebrush has learned to stay cool out here. I'm not built for this. And as the light stretches further across the rock, I can feel the day gaining on me. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, just 30 minutes past the busy streets of Moab. It's already 8 a.m. and the sun is beating down on me, so I'm going to have to stay as cool as much as possible. This high desert landscape is very beautiful, but I've already had problems since coming out here. I arrived late last night, which probably wasn't a good idea coming here for the first time, because it looks deceptively easy. It's not really that hard of a road to drive down, but then you come to a place like this. I came to this place last night thinking that this would be my campsite, and I tried to accelerate through the sand here, and this sand got me stuck. So instead of going forward, I knew I would get stuck, so I decided to get out, pushed a little bit, and you can see how soft this sand is. You really need to either deflate your tires or get a traction board here. But I got stuck here, pushed myself out luckily. But this is like one giant big sand trap. It's crazy. That's where I am now. It's not as sandy. You just gotta be careful with things like these. There's a bunch of dirt bikers in the sand trap now, so I think I'm gonna go a little bit further in, like a mile or two, and then I'm gonna cook some breakfast. All the dirt bikers left, so now I'm just gonna pull the van forward into this shady spot. It's so sunny and hot out here, I really have to stay on top of my hydration. The shade makes a massive difference when you're out here. Try this. It's not bad. These aren't my ideal eggs. I like to get mine from Trader Joe's, but they were completely out. I take my time before getting back on the road. Behind the rocks isn't just a name, it's a warning. The further you go back, the more the tracks begin to disappear, until it's just you and the terrain, trying to understand each other. At the turnoff, there's an old sign that lays out the dangers. Flipped vehicles, broken axles, and no help on the way. My vehicle is rear-wheel drive. I have no spotter, so the only thing keeping me from getting stuck is momentum. Every rut, every bend, and every moment of hesitation poses the same question. Are you sure? For the next hour, I'll have to keep answering that question. The roads out here are insane. It's so rocky. I have to make decisions to where I won't get stuck. But luckily, I have high enough clearance to get over most of this, and the conditions are dry. Just rear-wheel drive. But as long as I keep momentum going, and as long as I don't make any stupid decisions, I think I should be okay. Just when I thought the road might defeat me, the land revealed T-bone rock. There were no signs or markers, just a mass of red rock rising from the ground. It's made of Navajo sandstone, once part of ancient sand dunes that have since fossilized in the wind. After 180 million years of pressure and erosion, it stands its ground. The rock stretches nearly half a mile long and stretches 174 feet above the desert floor. Pinyon pine and juniper cling to its slopes, while Mormon tea and blackbrush root deep below. Somewhere, tucked beneath the overhangs, the Fremont and Ute people left their marks, etched stories that refuse to fade away. I'm still miles from anything, but for a moment, it feels like I've arrived. I made it to this huge, massive rock. I want to walk around the whole perimeter of this thing to see what there is. It's a little too hot to do that right now, so I think I'm going to wait till the hottest part of the day is done, and in the evening, I'm going to walk around this and explore it. Until it gets a little bit cooler, I'm going to put the sunshades up and get comfortable. I'm so glad that I made it. There was a couple turns back there where I really thought I was going to get stuck. I'm really glad that I brought my sunshades because the sun is just beating down right now. They do a really good job at keeping the van cool. As long as I'm in the shade, have my fans running, and keep drinking water, I should be okay. Nothing like a cold matcha lemonade when it's over 90 degrees outside. I'm amazed at how well I insulated this van. There's over a 10-degree difference between the inside and the outside right now. Midday out here is not just hot, it's hostile. The temperature exceeds 90 degrees with no shade and no breeze. Exposure like this tests your endurance and strength. So I wait, allowing the heat to pass. Because in this environment, pushing too hard doesn't prove anything. It simply puts you at risk for heat stroke. It's finally cooled off a little bit. I want to try to walk around this entire rock, but I only have a little bit of time before sunset, so I'm going to take advantage of the time that I do have. Luckily, it's starting to cool down. It's past 4 o'clock, and I want to make my way around this entire rock, so I have to do that before the sun sets. Let's go. I leave the van and begin walking. The sun sits lower now, but the heat hasn't relented. It rises from the stone, pressing into my legs and draining my energy with every step. Each movement costs something out here, but the land calls me forward, and a part of me needs to see what's out there. Maybe I spoke too soon about it cooling off. The sun's already back out. Even though it's past 4, it's really hot. I just hope that I can make it around this rock before sunset. I'm already tired, and I've only done like a quarter of a mile from there to here. If you ever decide to come out here to Moab past May into June, I highly recommend just taking it easy through the hot hours of the day. The nights are really cool. It's about 60 to 50 degrees, so it's really not that bad. So you want to get all your stuff done early in the morning or late in the evening. I look up, and for a moment, I forget the heat. Walls, stretched like the ribs of some ancient beast, carved by time, wind, and forces I can't even name. I feel small, as if I've stepped into a place that doesn't need me, but still allows me in. Then I notice the crows. Dozens of them are riding the thermals, circling above me. There's something about this place, a calm energy that settles deep, just beneath the surface. I can sense there's more out here, just beyond what I can see. The land feels like it's about to reveal something to me. I round the bend, and there it is. A window into another world, cut clean through the sandstone. Picture frame arch. Carved over eons by wind, water, and time, it is a hollowed-out breath in the rock. This formation began long before any of us. Salt beds from an ancient sea pushed upward, buckling the earth like wrinkled skin. Erosion did the rest, freezing, thawing, shedding layers until only the essentials remained. An opening, a shape that lets light pass through. Standing beneath it, you can feel the cool wind drift through, as if the rock itself is breathing. Sometimes, all it takes is stillness to hear what you've been missing. I'm not sure what I expected to find, but maybe this is it. A moment where the land holds still, just long enough for you to feel grounded again. That's probably the hottest hike that I've ever done. I'm resting here in the shade because the sun is still quite strong. The views at the end of this are tremendous, but I don't think I have the energy to keep going around this whole structure. I'll eventually make my way back, just have to rest here in the shade. The shade here is minimal, just a sliver against the rock. Cooler air settles around me as the heat eases slightly. There's a profound stillness in this place. It arrives unexpectedly, and suddenly you realize you haven't moved for a while. I had hoped to walk the entire perimeter of this rock, tracing every edge and seeing what lay around the far side, but I can't continue. My water has run out, and continuing right now is too risky. The sun is beginning to set, casting longer shadows across the sand, so I start making my way back to my van. You can see how the arches might have formed. The water comes down and erodes this away. I wonder how long it'll take before these become arches. Wipes in the desert make such a huge difference. Get all the dirt off you. The sand and dust just gets everywhere. It's a lot better. Made it back to the van, drank a bunch of water. Now I'm just watching the sunset. For a while, I thought the heat was dissipating, but it was actually just the clouds blocking the sun. It's kind of strange. I feel like I've had the whole place to myself. I've seen a couple dirt bikes and some dune buggies go around earlier, but they haven't been around for long. They're usually going down the harder dirt paths that are far away from here. The temperature feels a lot better than it was today. That was brutal. It amazes me how close this is to downtown Moab. You just go like 20 or 30 minutes down the road, you turn a random right-hand corner, and then you have this whole place to yourself. It feels like the Australian outback. Now, to be fair, I've never been to the Australian outback, but if I can imagine what it looks like, this is what I would imagine it to be. It's probably way hotter out there, and I would love to visit. I finally made it back. Despite all its rattles and dust, this van, this little space I call home, has never made me more thankful to see it. I'm sunburned and low on water, and every step I take echoes the weight of the day. I think about the people who once lived out here, who didn't just pass through this desert, but truly belonged to it. They understood its rhythms, its silence, and its sharp edges. Meanwhile, I'm just here trying to stay hydrated and navigate without getting lost. But even in that struggle, something is grounding about the experience. I'm grateful I got to walk and experience this land in person, grateful to feel small, to feel human, and to feel welcomed, if only for a little while. Overall, it was an amazing day. This desert is really beautiful, but it's also very hot. It's finally cooled off and I got all of my fans running. I think I'm gonna go get some sleep. Good night. I must have passed out before the stars even appeared. I didn't eat. I didn't care. I just lay back and let the weight of the day slide off me. Slept more peacefully than I have in a long time. There's something about the desert heat. It drains you completely, then offers a kind of quiet that feels earned. The night air was perfect, like it was designed to make you forget the sun ever scorched your skin. But I knew it wouldn't last. I woke up early. The red dust still clung to my floorboards, my socks, and the corners of my bed. It gets everywhere. I've only seen this kind of soil once before, in Sedona. This place is rough, unforgiving. And maybe that's the kind of beauty we forget to notice, the kind that doesn't flatter you. It just shows up and asks if you're really paying attention. I didn't realize how hungry I was until I started moving. I had skipped dinner the night before due to pure exhaustion, and the heat had drained me. But I felt better. I pulled out a box of egg rolls. Probably a strange choice for breakfast, but after yesterday, I wasn't being picky. I actually craved something cold, which made perfect sense in this heat. But the warmth of real food was comforting, especially after going without for hours. I began to feel better, renewed in a way I didn't expect. It's incredible how a little food, some rest, and quiet can help you return to yourself. The sun is already climbing and heating up quickly. It's time to go. I think I'm done with the desert for a while. At least until the temperatures cool down again. Despite its roughness, the desert gave me something I didn't expect. This land doesn't flatter you right away. It can feel empty and even unwelcoming at first. But if you spend enough time here and stay open, it slowly reveals its secrets. I'm now heading toward higher elevations, trading the red dust for the shade of pine trees and sandstone for granite. Sometimes we must push ourselves into uncomfortable places to truly appreciate what we have. Growth often occurs when we step outside the familiar. It's so easy to stick to well-worn paths, but every now and then, the real rewards lie in the detours, in the heat, in the silence, and in the places we almost talked ourselves out of visiting. There's so much more out there to see and learn. And if you let it, the road has a way of showing you exactly where to look next, as long as you're willing to listen. The weather in Colorado this time of year is unpredictable. You can't plan for it. You can only respond. In one moment, it's still, quiet enough to hear the trees creak. The next, the sky cracks open and everything shifts. I came here searching for relief. After weeks in the desert, where the heat blurred my thoughts and stole the air from my lungs, I needed something different. So I pointed the van north and headed into the Rockies. But the mountains had their own ideas. Storms rolled in without warning. Fast, wild, violent, and unrelenting. They test you, not just your gear or your van, but your patience and your willingness to stay when control slips away. And maybe that's the point. Not comfort, not escape. Just a chance to let go, to stop resisting the chaos, and finally hear what it's trying to say. As I traveled north, I felt an undeniable urge to leave, a restlessness pulling me forward. The desert had fulfilled my spirit, but the heat was becoming too much for me. By the time I realized I needed a change, I was already venturing into unknown territory. I wasn't searching for anything profound. I just needed a cooler place, somewhere to refresh my body and step outside the intensity for a while. With each mile, something began to lift. The weight of the arid stillness gave way to air that was crisp and clear, wrapping me in something I didn't know I had missed. In this new atmosphere, my thoughts began to slow down, unfolding like petals in the morning sun. The land felt vibrant, alive with birdsong and the soft murmur of water flowing through the trees. Everything moved with a rhythm I hadn't felt in ages, a steady beat that carried the day and quieted the restlessness inside me. In that rhythm, something within me began to soften, to let go, and to release tension I hadn't realized I had been holding. It was a quiet kind of relief, unexpected, but welcome. I had come here to rest, but as I stepped outside of the van and breathed in the pine-scented air, I felt it. A sense that maybe something more was waiting for me out here. I'm out in Colorado in the northern Rocky Mountains, and it's just amazing here. It's currently 54 degrees, partly cloudy, and I'm dispersed camping at 9,400 feet of elevation with lake views. This place is vastly different from the desert I was in just a few days ago. This time it's lush green alpine meadows and mountain views. So far, my favorite thing about this place are the aspens and the flowers. They just started to bloom. Aspens are such a cool species of tree because the way they reproduce themselves is by cloning. It's one of the main reasons why you see them all clustered together like this. They clone themselves through the roots. I guess that essentially makes them all one tree, one massive organism when you think about it. I had a little bit of difficulty getting up here because even though it's late spring now, there's still a lot of snow up in the higher elevations. Because all this snow is melting, it starts to create a lot of mud, so I ran into that on the way up here. But it's okay, Vincent is wearing that like a badge of honor now. So good. I had plans to explore, maybe follow one of the trails I had marked the night before. But the mountain had other ideas. It happened quickly. What started as a calm morning shifted in just a few minutes. Clear skies were replaced by dark clouds that moved in with purpose. It was sudden and total. Then came the hail, sharp, loud, and out of nowhere. It felt like the entire mountain exhaled at once. That's when the uncertainty hit me. I was not sure what I should do, so I packed everything up quickly. I was amazed at how suddenly this place can change, and how quickly it can catch you off guard. It's easy to forget how exposed you really are up here, and how little control you actually have. I didn't want to admit it, but part of me was afraid. Afraid of getting too far from the van, and being caught outside when the storm worsened. Lightning moves fast, and at this high elevation, you feel extremely exposed. So, I decided to wait out of respect. Some days, the unpredictable elements aren't something you want to test. It's something you just have to wait through. I'm hesitant to go out and explore right now because the weather up here in the mountains, especially during this time of year in the spring, is crazy. The last thing that I want is to be on top of some ridgeline and then have a bad storm roll through with a bunch of lightning. I think I'll wait for the storms to pass before I go out and explore anything today. Luckily, I have these awesome lake views to pass the time. The clouds never truly cleared. They simply kept shifting, reforming, and building. You could hear the thunder rumbling, like a warning from miles away. There's a kind of energy out here that eludes the camera's lens. It vibrates beneath everything. The trees, the water, even the silence. Like the mountain itself is alive. I found it difficult to admit, but that energy became a part of me, fostering a sense of belonging in this natural world. I found myself checking the sky repeatedly, gauging the wind, and listening for changes. In that stillness, a choice appeared: to forge ahead into the unknown, or to hold back just a little longer. I chose to stay and wait. I felt the tension between action and patience. Now that the skies are clear and the storms have passed, I think I'm going to go around and explore the area for a little bit. I'll have to keep an eye out for any more storms that could potentially come in. They move in fast. I didn't have a specific destination in mind, just a need to move. After enduring a day that shifted between stillness and chaos, it felt like time had finally opened a small window for me, so I took it. The air felt lighter now, and the sky seemed unexpectedly generous. I kept looking up, almost suspicious of how quickly the mood had changed. But I wasn't questioning it. I was simply grateful to stretch my legs and put some distance between myself and the restlessness that had been building. I wandered through open meadows and into a stand of aspens. Tall, slender, and quiet. The sun filtered through in a soft, fractured way. And for the first time all day, I wasn't thinking about the weather, lightning, or whether I should be somewhere else. There was a certain kind of stillness here. This was the kind that settles into you slowly, like the body finally exhaling after holding tension for too long. I hadn't planned on staying long, but the light kept shifting, and I found myself standing there content, needing nothing more. This Alpine meadow is absolutely beautiful, and I can't believe I get to stay here for free. The thunderstorms that passed through here were a little bit scary, but I'm glad that it's cleared up so that I can enjoy sunset now. My second favorite plant, other than the aspens, is this weird cabbage-looking plant. I swear it looks like from another planet. I'm gonna have to look up this plant once I get an internet connection again. I better get back before it gets dark. I still have to cook dinner. So I ran into a little problem when I was setting up my propane stove. I've used this thing so much, and there's a little O-ring right inside here that's completely messed up. So I can't cook my steak on my propane stove because my tube's busted, but maybe I can cook it on the air fryer. I didn't expect the day to end like this. Just hours ago, I was debating whether it was even safe to step outside. watching clouds tumble in as if they had somewhere urgent to be. And now, everything is still. I know that not every night gets to end this way. Not every day wraps itself in light. But that's what makes this kind of calm feel sacred. You weather the chaos, hold your ground, and every so often, you get a moment like this. Okay, we're gonna see how well this cooked. Hopefully it worked. Yeah, I would say that's pretty cooked. Okay, let's see how this tastes. Tastes good. It's a little overdone. I've never made steak in the air fryer before, but hey, it's cooked. That sunset was probably one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my life. I would call that a successful dinner despite my stove breaking down. I'm surprised that the O-ring broke. I've been using it since I got the van in 2023. I definitely was not expecting that, but that kind of stuff just happens in van life. You have to be able to think on the fly and have a backup plan just in case something fails. Now I will admit that the way that I cooked the steak this time was far from ideal. It was not as flavorful as I usually cook it on the stove, but at least I had a hot meal tonight, and that's what's important. Another drawback of cooking with the air fryer is that it takes a lot of power, so my jackery is a lot lower than I would like it to be right now. It's going to be dropping into the 40s tonight, and I'm so glad that I have my Mr. Heater. I have the fan running and the windows cracked while I run this heater because the buddy heater produces excess water vapor when propane burns, and that's all getting ventilated out while the heat is being maintained. I will not run the heater when I'm asleep. Once I get this to a comfortable temperature, I will shut off the heater. I'm surprised that I've been able to use propane up this high at 9,400 feet. It's been working fine for me with the exception of my O-ring failure with my stove. It was a beautiful day by this lake. I think I'm a huge fan of these mountains, and I can't wait to go out and explore more of them. I think I'm headed to sleep. Good night. I woke up before the sun hit the meadow floor. Everything felt refreshed, as if the land had been through something and was now just recovering. I made my breakfast slowly, without saying much, just taking it all in. It felt good not to rush. It was nice to just exist in a place that didn't demand anything from me. Discovering the mountains up here again was a revelation. I had initially sought refuge from the heat, but what I found was a deeper, more introspective kind of solace. It was an experience that left me intrigued and rejuvenated. On the road, there will be days when things don't go as planned. Sometimes it's just a series of small choices and how you respond to them. Where you stop when you leave, what you let in, and what you decide to leave behind. And if you're lucky, you leave with something unspoken, a little more clarity, a little more trust in your own pace, even if you aren't sure where it's going to lead. The future is always a mystery, and I'm no stranger to that. But I'm sure that I'm moving towards something meaningful, and that's enough for now. So I set off on the road with the wind in my hair, the mountain air still clinging to my shirt, and a sense of quiet anticipation for what lies ahead. The Tetons have always been one of my favorite ranges in the country. There's a gravity here, something that pulls you in, even when you don't fully know why. They're geologically young, but nothing about them feels unfinished. The lines are jagged, the snow lingers, and when the weather turns, it doesn't hesitate. You don't just end up here by accident. This is a place you have to seek out, especially this time of year. The roads are still thawing. The forecast is mostly a guess, but maybe that's part of the draw. Over the years, this range has carved its way into the imagination of the American West, inspiring paintings, poems, and quiet kinds of courage. For me, it's more than just a favorite view. It's a place I come back to when I need to feel small again, and every time I return, it asks a little more of me. I made the long drive out of Colorado's mountains, winding through the passes and descending into the open prairie. The further north I traveled, the quieter it all became. It's easy to forget how empty this part of the country is, mile after mile, with not a rest stop in sight. There's a point somewhere past Rawlins, where the horizon just falls away. That's when the vastness really hits you. If I were dropped in the middle of this prairie, with no gear and no help, how long would I last? These are the kinds of thoughts that come to mind on long drives. This stretch of southern Wyoming traces parts of the old Oregon Trail. I imagine what it must have felt like back then to move forward without any guarantees. But then, almost without warning, the Tetons rise out of the ground. It's something largely tectonic, a break in the crust. They feel alive and possess a commanding presence. There's a creative charge in the air here, as if the range is still shaping the landscape. I've never seen a silhouette like it, and no matter how many times I return, it always feels like the first time. I'm out here in northern Wyoming, dispersed camping for free in Grand Teton National Park. This place is incredible, and this has got to be one of the most scenic spots that I've ever camped at. And I can't believe that I get this whole place to myself for free. For today and tonight, I'll be out here enjoying these amazing views before I decide what I do tomorrow. It's early June, and the mosquitoes and bugs out here are relentless. I just put on some bug spray, so hopefully that'll control them a little bit better. These views out here are amazing, but I can't fully relax out here like I can in Colorado. I'm officially in grizzly bear territory, so I have to keep an eye out for any potential bears coming my way. I have my bear spray close by. It does expire next month, but we should be good today if we have any encounters. Now let's cook a good breakfast that'll wake up the bears. This is so good. These eggs taste so much better with the new stove, and I also think it's enhanced with this view. I mean, I could be eating a protein bar and this would feel amazing. As awesome as this new stove is, I totally forgot butter. So everything is really sticking to the pan. I should also be getting a new pan soon that is ceramic and food won't get stuck, so I won't be spending all my time cleaning. But yeah, totally forgot the butter. I was planning on making some steaks as well. That might not happen. We'll see. This stove is 4 times as powerful as my Coleman. Each burner is 20,000 BTUs. In my Coleman, each burner was only 10,000 BTUs. That's a lot of power. I can't wait to put this stove to good use. Being alone in this section of the park offers a unique perspective. With no crowd noise or voices echoing off the hills, there's just open space. The quieter you become, the more this place begins to communicate. At first, it's subtle. The brush sways, and birds pass low. But then, something in the air changes. What had been a clear sky moments ago starts to change. Slowly, steadily, almost imperceptibly at first. The clouds don't arrive all at once. They form in layers, as if the mountain itself is exhaling. Watching it all unfold before me feels almost alive, mesmerizing, as if the Tetons are breathing weather into existence. The wind picks up, and the light dims. Before I know it, the storm rolls over the peaks, fast and decisive, as if it has somewhere to be. And I am out here in it. There's no cell service, and no shelter beyond the van. It's just me, exposed to the full force of the elements. Nature doesn't need to prove anything, but sometimes it arrives to remind you that you're not in control out here. You never were. That illusion disappears quickly once the clouds close in. But somehow, that's the part that keeps bringing me back. I love witnessing something larger than myself move through, wondering how it might impact you along the way. Out here, clarity shows up as perspective. No matter how much you prepare, you're still just a guest in the house of something ancient. Maybe that's the point, to be reminded that not everything is meant to be static and unchanging. Some things like weather, wonder, and change are only meant to be witnessed in the moment. I was outside watching the clouds roll in, and I was just so surprised at how fast these clouds built up. I could literally see the clouds and rain forming over the mountains. I'm really glad that I'm safe and protected inside the van because there's a lot of thunder and lightning outside. But no hail this time, so that's great. I find it really calming to watch all of this weather and these storms roll in.
The wind was northwest at 18 miles an hour, gusting to 30.
I didn't expect to feel this calm. After the storm passed, I sat in stillness with no sense of urgency. There was no rush to move. It was as if I was experiencing a blank canvas of quiet. My mind wasn't occupied with much at all. So much of life revolves around anticipating what's next, or reacting to what just happened. But out here, after the storm, none of that felt necessary. It was as if a part of me could remain in that silence forever. Just being in that moment was incredibly relaxing. And I felt the contrast, motion giving way to stillness. Honestly, I was caught off guard by how beautiful that experience was. It's rare to feel like nothing is pulling at you. No second guessing, no pressure to perform for anyone else, just you. It was a moment of pure beauty amidst chaos. Sometimes, I think that's why I return to places like this. The storms help me gain a greater perspective. For there to be calm, there must be an acknowledgement of the tension that allows for release. The storm can be seen as a physical manifestation of the tension that we carry within all of us. And by recognizing this tension, we can better appreciate the calm that follows. And for a few hours, nothing is required of you. A moment of peace in a world that constantly demands something from us. The storm that passed through today is finally gone, and wow, that sunset was just incredible. I mean, that just didn't feel real. That was just magic. That lighting was just phenomenal. I managed to get a few shots of the light beams coming off of the mountains. I can't wait to see how they turn out. This place is a landscape photographer's dream. It's like every time I go and look at these mountains, I can never possibly capture all of the variable dynamics at once. It's no wonder why people like Ansel Adams came out here to do their work. It's just magic. Not gonna lie, I still haven't gotten used to the fact that there are a bunch of grizzlies around here. It makes me nervous, and I honestly don't know how much sleep I'm gonna be getting tonight. I've taken all the precautions that I can think of. I got all of my loose food sealed up in my fridge. I've got all the doors locked, all the windows rolled up, and I'll be sleeping next to my bear spray, just in case. It's just something I'm gonna have to get used to because, unfortunately, there's a ton of beautiful places out there that have grizzly bears, and I want to go to them. Overall, really glad that I came here again. Haven't been here since 2022. First time I'm sleeping in the park tonight. Can't wait to get out there more tomorrow and explore some new places and see what nature has to throw at me. I think I'm going to try to get some sleep. Good night. I did not sleep well last night. Being in grizzly country keeps you on high alert. You hear every twig snap and every breeze against the van. It's not hot at night, but I decided to keep the fan on anyway and tried to pretend to not hear anything and just embrace the cold. In the quiet of this morning light, the same breeze that kept me awake feels like a kind of welcome. Somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a quiet awareness that this place doesn't belong to you. But maybe that's part of the unspoken agreement when you step into land like this. It's an agreement between you and the land. You'll tread lightly, and in return, you might witness something sacred. You can't control the outcome. You can prepare, respect the boundaries, show up anyway, and hope for the best. As uneasy as the night might have been, mornings like this make it all worthwhile. That's why I came here. I enjoy being humbled by places like this. It takes courage. Sometimes it's just about staying put when fear tells you to turn around. Deep down, you know the discomfort will be worth it. There's risk out here, but there's also risk everywhere you go, and in everything you do. There's something deeply satisfying about waking up in a place that doesn't conform to your plans or your pace. You adapt. You pay attention. Your senses are heightened. Slowly, the fear gives way to reverence and respect. The more time you spend in the wild, the more it stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a truth you've been missing in your life. I don't think you ever fully conquer that fear, but maybe that's not the point. Perhaps it's about learning to move with that fear anyway, and not letting it hold you back. It feels like I'm following an energy, something delicate and sacred that I don't want to lose, an instinct that still knows how to be quiet, to pay attention. Something is healing about movement when it isn't focused on the destination. Coming to places like this reminds me I'm here. I'm alive, not just existing, but aware. But the road can wear you thin over time. Even wonder can fatigue you when you forget to stop and rest. When everything becomes motion, you lose your grip on what stillness is. Without stillness, you stop seeing. I think that you need both, That's why I've learned to pause before I try to move again. I want to notice what's already here, and not just chase what's ahead. Most of us are taught to outrun silence, and to confuse motion with meaning. It's not always a comfortable or natural thing to do. Out here, you meet yourself in the quiet, the cold water, the rising wind, the calm before the storm. I used to think that peace was something found at the end of the road, but now I see it as something within you if you're willing to let go. Let the landscape set the pace, rather than your plans. There's no finish line, just layers of letting go. And letting go doesn't feel like surrender anymore. It feels like returning to something real, something I forgot I needed. There's something about leaving a place that has changed you. It feels like a continuation, as if something inside you is still catching up. And maybe we don't need to be on the road to feel this way. Perhaps what we really need is balance, to find places near or far that allow us to see with fresh eyes and arrive with open hearts. This isn't just about crossing places off the map. It's pursuing a feeling, a quiet knowing that you're getting closer to the version of yourself you've been trying to reveal. Out here, it's about what you're carrying now, in your breath, in your stillness, in your pace. That's the gift of places like this. They invite you to slow down long enough to remember what truly matters, and it changes you in the process if you're open to receive it. I used to believe that fear was something I could outrun, something I could leave behind as I ventured into new or challenging territory. I thought that if I challenged myself enough and stayed on the road long enough, fear would eventually lose its grip and quiet down to a whisper. But over time, I've come to realize that fear is not something that can be easily escaped. It is a constant companion that is with us all. It lurks in the shadows, especially when the sky turns a deep ominous black in the middle of nowhere. I feel it creeping in when the van shakes violently in the wind, my imagination racing with thoughts of a grizzly bear or some other unseen threat just outside my door. Fear, as I've learned through countless experiences, is not a sign of personal weakness, but rather a natural and essential part of the human experience. It reminds us that we're alive, and that we have something to protect. In those moments of uncertainty, no matter how prepared I might feel or how many survival skills I've armed myself with, I find myself wrestling with haunting questions. Am I built for this? Am I enough for the challenges that lie ahead? Then, just as suddenly as it descends, the storm passes simply because I chose to stay put. By holding my ground against the storm of my thoughts and emotions, and refusing to give in to the urge to run from my fears, I discovered a deep strength that had been dormant within me, waiting for this opportunity to reveal itself. Maybe it's not about conquering fear completely and casting it aside once and for all. It's about learning to coexist with it, to accept it as part of the journey. We must learn to stand taller in its presence, meeting it head on and refusing to be overwhelmed by it. Instead of letting fear define our actions, we step outside, confront it face to face, and continue our journey, even when our voices tremble and our spirits dip to their lowest points. It can be an indicator of growth. I came out here for peace, to be surrounded by something bigger than myself. But I won't lie, I almost let fear convince me to stay away from here. But perhaps what I truly needed was proof. Proof that when the going gets tough, when challenges peak and courage is in short supply, I don't back down, I rise up. Because rising up isn't a single moment, it's a practice. A choice we make again and again, even when it's hard. And maybe that's what strength really is. Not fearlessness, but persistence, presence, and the quiet resolve to face the unknown. Out here, I found that courage isn't about erasing fear. It's about standing with it quietly and choosing to move forward anyway. I had been considering coming to Buena Vista for a while. Its elevation access and extensive trail networks leading into the Alpine made me curious. After last week's stormy experience in Wyoming, where I found myself battling the elements, I was looking for something quieter, something more off the beaten path. But maps can't convey the true feeling of a place. They don't show how the welcoming sight of ponderosa pines after hours of driving can bring such relief, or the comfort that comes with finally stopping and allowing yourself to just rest. Buena Vista was the first place that felt like a gentle landing. There were no thunderheads on the horizon and no urgency to pack up camp. just sunny ridgelines and soft, steady light. I came here to train for high-altitude goals and prepare for the adventures of summer. But what I found first was a deep sense of rest. It turned out to be exactly what I needed most. The journey from the Tetons to Buena Vista was long, but I didn't mind the drive. It gave me a chance to reflect on my journey and the personal goals I still have for the summer. To find inner peace, to explore new places, and to challenge myself in new and exciting ways. I began to think about what I needed to do to turn those goals into reality. It was going to take some work, but I was ready for the challenge. After weeks of constant movement, stormy weather, and being in bear country, I was tired of having to look over my shoulder. Crossing back into Colorado felt like a warm embrace, a return to a familiar place. Not quite home, but close enough for me to relax a bit. There was no need to constantly check for grizzlies. This time the weather forecast looked promising, just dry skies and no cause for concern. That alone was a welcome change. I had never been to Buena Vista before, but I had heard that Mount Princeton glows just before sunset, with the cliffs and ridgelines reflecting a unique light. I slept well last night, and there were plenty of great spots out here to choose from. It felt like this place was calling out to me, inviting me to explore its beauty. I was excited to discover what Buena Vista had to offer, but more than that, I was ready to stop moving. This trip was about allowing my body to recover and giving my mind a chance to catch up. If I could accomplish that while surrounded by forests, high altitudes, and golden light, then maybe this wasn't just another spot on the map. It was the pause I had been needing. I'm just south of Buena Vista, Colorado, in the San Isabel National Forest. I found this beautiful spot up a rough forest road. It's just a small pull-off tucked into the trees, and that's what drew me in. It's quiet, peaceful, and honestly kind of a relief knowing that there aren't any grizzlies out here. I can finally relax. What blows my mind out here is how many forest roads exist in the U.S. The Forest Service manages over 370,000 miles of them. That's more than 3 times the length of the entire interstate highway system. You could spend your whole life exploring these back roads and never see it all. It's wild, and it makes moments like this possible. I want to explore as much of these as I can. There's so many hidden treasures out here. Later today, I'm headed to a ridge site that overlooks the valley, but last night and right now, I needed something like this. It's just so peaceful and secluded. After a long drive like that from Wyoming, a place like this is amazing. I'm looking forward to stretch my legs, make a meal, and just let the quiet set in. I wish I wasn't allergic to the sun. I burn so easily out here. The elevation really gets you. I'm just 7,000 feet closer to the sun. The thing that sucks about sunscreen is no matter what kind I use, it just always ends up getting in my eye at some point during the day. So I guess it's better than getting burned though. Not a cloud in the sky, just have to worry about the sun. This looks so good. These eggs turned out perfect. That new nonstick pan really helped. This is probably the best meal that I've ever cooked out of the van. Better stove gets me excited about cooking again. This is going to be so much easier to clean than my old stainless steel pan. This is a ceramic, so the heat disperses evenly and nothing burns. I'm just absolutely amazed. Look at that. It just comes all the way off. This is my first time using a caraway pan, but I'm impressed.
That breakfast was honestly perfect. There's something I find so enjoyable about cooking outdoors, where the scent of pine mixes with the aromas of the food, and I can hear the breeze before I even feel it on my skin. The new Camp Chef Everest stove really exceeded my expectations. Its 2 burners provide a substantial amount of power. I cooked eggs, cacao, and pancakes, all done in super quick time. It gives me back more time and allows numerous options for cooking compared to what I was able to do before. My old Coleman stove served me well for years and was a great help when I first started out, but this was a much needed upgrade. I can feel the energy of the food flowing through me, and it will be just what I need to get through my next challenge. Let's hope I'm up for it.
So I'm going to be going to some places this summer that are quite difficult to get to, but they're really beautiful. I'm going to have to leave the van behind and go on foot. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to put in some miles at elevation. I'm at 8,800 feet of elevation up here, so it's the perfect time to start training. This is going to be challenging, but I know that it'll be worth
it. It's hot. The high elevation sun presses down hard, and there's not even a breeze right now. I'm above 8,000 feet and still not fully acclimated. Every breath I take serves as a reminder that this will be a slow climb, back to form, back to strength. This is week 1 of my return to running. It's not glamorous. I'm alternating quarter-mile runs with quarter-mile walks, trying to be smart, patient, and deliberate. A mile of each today. That's my plan. But when you haven't done this in a while, especially mountain air that feels thinner than your confidence, it's challenging. Big hikes, long days in the Alpine, and routes that demand endurance and lungs that won't give up halfway. So I'm quietly building that engine day by day. This uphill struggle begins with a steady rhythm, one foot, then the other. I'm breathing harder than I'd like, and sweating sooner than expected, but I'm still moving, and I showed up, and that's what matters. There's a kind of humility in starting again. You can't skip ahead or fake it, and honestly, it's tough. You just have to show up and take the next step. Out here, I feel the terrain working me, the burning in my lungs and legs, but I'm determined, and I'm putting in the work.
That was really challenging. I ended up doing 2 miles total, 1 mile run and 1 mile walk. It's definitely hard at this elevation. I'm really feeling it. I'm just easing back into running, and next week will be a little bit more than this week. When you're starting a new exercise regime, you have to give your body the time it needs to adapt. Otherwise, you risk injury. It's 80 degrees right now and I'm sweating, but I think I'm going to take advantage of this time to go try to find a ridge spot with more open views.
I was still catching my breath when I finished packing up. I felt tired, but at least my mind was clear. There's something about doing a difficult task, no matter how small, that can change the course of your day. It might not make it easier, but it makes it feel possible. That run wasn't perfect. I wasn't fast, and I wasn't strong. But I showed up, pushed through the discomfort, and persevered. That's enough for now. Starting again from scratch is challenging, not just because of the effort involved, but also because of the uncertainty. At first, you don't always get to see where the road leads, and that's okay. You simply begin, step by step and breath by breath, and you hope. It's okay to not feel ready. It's okay to wonder if you'll succeed. What matters is you keep going anyway and keep showing up, even when the destination isn't clear. The act of moving forward holds meaning. Everything was so beautiful up here. I'm glad I chose to explore the area. I was surprised to see how great the views were. You can see for miles around, and this will be my home for the night, completely free of charge, thanks to BLM land. From up here, Buena Vista looks tucked into the folds of the valley, much smaller than I expected. The town appears close, 10 minutes away maybe, but right now, it feels like it could be 100 miles away. It's not often you find a spot like this, free, calm, and completely mine for the moment. There are no other vans, no other people, just the occasional chipmunk trying to sneak into my van if I leave the doors open for too long. It felt like a sign, so I laid out my mat, moved a little, stretched a bit more, and let my breathing slow down and my mind catch up. I didn't plan to practice today, but sometimes your body knows better than your mind. This place made space for both, and my body needed it, especially after that mountain run. There's something grounding about routines in unfamiliar places. They turn a patch of dirt into a kind of home. Today, this felt like exactly where I was supposed to be.
I feel so much better after doing that yoga. I really needed that. I've never seen beautiful spots like this that are free so close to town. It's like out of the three, sometimes you'll hit one or two and that's great, but all three of them? This is amazing. I wish that there were more places like this. And with a view this beautiful, it's time to eat. Right, let's give it a try. It's perfect. This is so delicious. It's much better than cooking it in the air fryer.
I'm sitting high above the valley, feeling sore, satisfied, and grateful. Today, I accomplished something more than I thought possible. Surprisingly, the work didn't weigh me down. Instead, it felt like a step forward towards something significant. Earlier today, I wasn't sure I had it in me. Part of me wanted to turn back halfway during my run, but I didn't. Now as I sit here, that doubt feels distant and small. The steak I cooked earlier was perfect. It was a simple meal, but it was exactly what I needed to feel satisfied after a busy day. It's amazing how food tastes even better when you've earned it, especially while surrounded by such breathtaking views. The heat has faded, the breeze is cool again, and a deep stillness is settling into the hills. It's just me up here. I am so grateful for this. Moments like this are why I came. Out here, minutes stretch. There's no clock ticking, no calendar to chase, just this moment and the next, unfolding quietly.
I love the open spaces of this ridge. That sunset was amazing. I used to have this whole campsite to myself, but then right at sunset, someone just pulled in with their minivan and they're right across from me. So now it's awkward. We're across from each other by about 60 feet. We're just looking at each other. This guy didn't even ask if he could be in my campsite. He just did it. I figure it's common courtesy to at least ask because I was at the spot first. I mean, if someone politely asks me and if I feel comfortable, like, sure. But to just pull up in your spot is just kind of violating. I was thinking about moving to the other spot back with the pines, but I'm just too tired right now. I'd like to say that this was the first time that something like this has ever happened, but it's also happened to me when I've been out backpacking. I was up on top of a mountain in Big Sur, California, and I had my spot picked out and everything, and literally right before I was about to go to sleep, I was there for hours. I had the whole place to myself. A bunch of people just decided to camp right behind me. They were really loud, and it was just super awkward. I locked all my doors, and I'm going to attempt to get some sleep. Good night.
I didn't sleep well at first. Someone pulled in just before dark. There were no introductions, no headlamps, and no casual wave, just a van idling 60 feet from me. The engine finally went quiet while I was already zipped into bed. It's interesting how quickly your comfort can change to alertness. I wasn't scared, but it was definitely unsettling. I kept wondering if I should move, but ultimately I stayed put. I was there first. I was far too tired to change my position. I spent a lot of energy during the day. When I woke up, the other van was gone. No note, no trace. Just one strange detail though. My windshield wipers were lifted. Maybe it was just a harmless prank, or someone trying to be funny. Either way, being close to a town can offer convenience, but it also invites some predictability. The more people around, the more likely you are to encounter odd things happening. Isn't that the part of the allure of travel? The unexpected, the unexplained, and the oddities that make the journey memorable? No damage was done, but it was still rather strange. I think this place is beautiful and still worth visiting. But maybe next time, I'll aim for a little more seclusion. Somewhere deeper in, a few more turns past the gravel. I packed up slowly, letting the sun rise over my shoulder. The golden light broke through the trees, casting long shadows across the dirt. I felt the coolness of the morning and the residue of last night's tension slowly lift. It's funny how mornings can cleanse the experience and make everything feel better. This was just one stop, one sunrise, and one lesson. There's more road ahead, more places that will surprise me, and more mornings that will feel like clean slates. That's the beauty of movement. The road doesn't promise or guarantee comfort, but it offers possibility, and that's enough for me. Part of me wanted to relax. The other part didn't think I earned it yet. Lately, I've been wondering if comfort's been making me soft. So I drove to Walden, a place far enough out and high enough up that even walking feels like a challenge. I told myself it'd be both rest and training. Casual runs, cold swims, good food. That was the plan. But the bugs, they had other plans. They were a force to be reckoned with. They were relentless, much worse than I expected. And the storms didn't help either, drifting through like they were just checking in on me. Discomfort has a unique way of surfacing things that we've buried. Thoughts I'd buried under routine, habits I'd excused as survival. I came here to challenge myself and to find a slower pace. To see what still holds up when it's just me, the van, and nothing to hide behind. After spending time in Buena Vista, I decided to head north. I was looking for a place a bit quieter than Buena Vista, aiming for Walden or somewhere in the nearby Route National Forest. In that stretch of Colorado tucked away in North Park, the terrain starts to feel more untouched. There are fewer houses, fewer people, and more room to breathe and explore. I think I was craving that, something quieter. What drew me in was the forest ecosystem in that area. I loved the way the pines and aspens intertwine with each other in the meadows. The Alpine lakes seem to appear only when you're almost on top of them. I tried to reach one that I had found online. It looked perfect on the map. But the road was closed by the Forest Service. There were no signs indicating this until I got there. Just a rusted gate in the middle of the woods, the kind of thing you wouldn't know about until you had already ventured too far in to turn back. Google Maps failed me again and didn't have the latest update. Honestly, I didn't mind. Some detours in life are better experienced than researched. I found myself following a few roads I probably shouldn't have, steep and rocky, meant for a Jeep, not an old Chevy Express with a homemade build. But eventually, I discovered a spot. It wasn't where I planned to be, just where I ended up. It's wild how, even now, there are places that feel uncertain, not dangerous, just uncurated. They seem to be left out of the social media feeds on purpose, but in a strange way that gives me confidence. Because out here, if you want to know how something really looks, you still have to go and see it with your own eyes.
I'm just west of Walden, somewhere in the Route National Forest. I almost got stuck on my way up here. I was following Google Maps and trying to find a cool lake spot, but unfortunately, the road was closed. Not only was I not able to find the lake, but the road that Google sent me down was pretty much a Jeep road with really steep grades and large rocks. But luckily, my van has high clearance and I made it. When I got out, I saw the main road, which was much more gentle and forgiving. This is the last time I'm trusting Google Maps blindly. I almost got stuck out here. This just goes to show you that you have to trust your gut, and you can't always rely on technology. I found this large free spot just off the main forest road. It's pretty big. There's room for all kinds of activities. I've been finding that there's all kinds of spots on forest roads that are usually established. It just takes a willingness to explore for a little bit to see what's out there. You'll usually find something after a while. Just don't take your rig down super sketchy Jeep roads. You might get stuck out here. Colorado's been getting a bunch of rain, so that's really great to help prevent fires, but there's also a bunch of mosquitoes out here. I can't stand still for very long, otherwise they start swarming me. So I have to put on a lot of bug spray, but honestly, I don't know if it's helping much. The Ben's bug spray has been doing an okay job, but I just don't like the greasy feeling of it. So I think I'm gonna go check out the Picardin. They come in little packets that you can put on. It's supposed to feel less greasy on your skin, and it also has the added benefit of being a little bit more nice to your gear. The Ben's bug spray is known for deteriorating your gear and your clothing. Now I'm getting swarmed by bugs, but let's try to get this breakfast started. Actually, new plan, I'm getting swarmed by mosquitoes. The bug spray that I put on is not working as well as I thought it would. I can't believe how relentless the mosquitoes are right now. Next time I come out to a place like this, I'm bringing a thermocell. They give you 20 feet of protection without having to put on bug spray on your skin. Even though I'm at over 8,000 feet, I'm located next to a creek, it's warming up, and it's kind of a boggy area, so I think I'm going to pack up and then get headed down the road to find a little bit of a less buggy area.
The mosquitoes were relentless, biting through my sleeves and swarming around my face, drawn to the stillness under the trees. The elevation kept the air cool, but there was no breeze to help push back the bugs. The forest seemed to hold everything in place, making even the air feel stagnant. The scent of pine was heavy, and the sound of buzzing was constant. So I set off, hoping for a landscape that would open up. What I wanted was an alpine lake, something with movement, a place where the wind would help me and I could finally breathe. I hadn't been to this part of Colorado before, and didn't know if a lake was close by or even reachable. The last time I went searching for one up here, I almost got lost. But I figured if I kept moving, I might exchange the bugs and thick pines for open water and wind. That was my logic anyway. Sometimes when living like this, a loose thread of hope is reason enough to keep going.
There's still mosquitoes and bugs out here, but at least it's open. There's a little bit of a breeze to keep them off me, so now I can go make breakfast. Okay, let's try this. This looks good. Turned out great again. This place is fantastic. I think it was a great call to come out here to this lake. There's still bugs. It's summer. There's gonna be bugs everywhere. But at least I'm not getting swarmed. Today I'm finishing the third workout of week 2. I'm gonna be walking 0.25 and then running 0.5 times 3. So in total it'll be 2.25 miles. There's some weather moving in on the area, so I think I'm gonna go run before that picks up.
I knew I needed to train for my next adventure. Some of the camps that I've had my eye on were situated high up, above 11,000 feet, and you can't just stroll into those areas without putting in the effort. So I laced up my running shoes and began training. Nothing too intense, 3 miles broken into segments, but even that felt challenging at this altitude of over 8,000 feet. The air was thin, my lungs strained, and my legs were pushed to their limits. It was a struggle, but I was determined to succeed. At first, I felt uneasy. A storm had been rolling through, and the thunder in the high country doesn't inspire much comfort. But then, something unexpectedly changed. The clouds began to thin, and the breeze picked up, and for a brief moment, it felt as though the mountain was cheering me on. I kept moving, running 3/4 of the time and walking 1/4. I repeated this pattern, and with every stretch of trail, I wasn't just training for the altitude. I was making a promise to myself that I would be ready for when it was time to go further.
That was the end of week 2, run 6. What made that workout hard is that I'm running at 8,800 feet. That's running around higher than the summit of Half Dome for about 30 minutes. I'm finally at the point where I can sustain half miles, so that's pretty good. Definitely feeling tired, but really glad to complete this week and finish strong. Next week will be week 3, and it'll be 0.25 walk and 0.75 run, for a total of 3 miles per workout. I'm slowly getting there. I think in a couple of weeks I'll be ready for some epic hikes and some awesome overnight trips. Luckily, the storm passed faster than I thought it would. I need to stretch. I think I'm going to do some yoga while I'm still warm.
It was tempting to skip the stretching. After a hard run, part of me just wanted to sit, maybe nap or snack. But I've learned that if I don't stretch my muscles while they're still warm, I'll regret it tomorrow. So I laid out my mat, found a flat patch of ground by the lake, and settled in. A constant cool breeze drifted through the aspens and across the water, just enough to keep the mosquitoes at bay. The contrast to the forest was immediate. No buzzing, no biting. Instead, I was surrounded by the gentle rustle of leaves and the soothing sound of water touching stone. With each pose, I felt a quiet unraveling, my muscles still buzzing from the run, softened into stillness. I was just meeting my body where it was, giving it the space to recover. Then I decided to swim. The water was cold, probably around 50 degrees, maybe even less. but I crave that reset. There's something I just love about cold water. When you come out of it, you feel different. You emerge calmer and a little more relaxed.
That was a really cold lake, but I'm glad I went into it. That water has to be around 50 degrees, but it felt amazing on my muscles. This is a really great campsite. I lucked out and got here early. There's a bunch of people coming now. They're all looking at my spot, but I'm not moving. This is amazing. I think I'll go for another swim in the morning. I'm really glad that that storm didn't come through. I was most concerned about lightning, not really rain, but lightning around 9,000 feet is kind of concerning. Maybe it'll hold off until tomorrow. This looks delicious. Let's try. This is so good. Wow. This new stove just cooks everything way faster. This view is amazing. I must have the best campsite in this entire campground.
Dinner was perfect. Simple, hot, and exactly what I needed. That kind of meal hits differently after a day like this. The light began to soften, and for a few minutes, the entire lake turned to gold. I sat there feeling fulfilled, with a view that didn't need words. But beauty has its own tension. As the sun dipped lower, the mosquitoes returned worse than before, buzzing around my ears, landing on my ankles, creeping under my collar. The breeze had dropped, and the stillness invited them back in. I had to keep moving, just pacing slowly so they couldn't land on me. It wasn't as peaceful anymore, but I wasn't ready to give it up. So I walked, not far, just enough to feel the cool air slipping down from the hills. It was the kind of walk where I wasn't chasing anything, just letting it all settle. I felt tired, but not drained. The good kind of tired, when you know you've given something and your effort has meant something. As I looked back at the van, parked in that little window of wild that I had somehow found, I just felt grateful. Grateful I left, grateful I came, and thankful I kept going.
Well, the mosquitoes decided to come out again after the wind died down following sunset. They were following me everywhere. I'm definitely getting a thermocell next time. I've never tried one before, but I've heard good things about them. A bunch of my new friends decided to follow me after I opened the door, but I discovered if I take the mesh netting off my Max Air fan and set it to level 4, it's a great way to vent out all the mosquitoes inside your van without driving yourself crazy. It's probably not the best way to treat my new friends, but they bite way too much. Overall, I'm feeling pretty good about today. I made it through the last workout of week 2, and I did it at 8,800 feet. It was hard, but I'm glad I did it. I'm getting a little bit stronger each time. I think it was worth coming up to this lake. I got the best spot in the entire campground, and I'm grateful for that. I'm excited that I'm getting to prepare for all these beautiful trips at altitude. They're going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see more beautiful Alpine lakes. It was a long day with a lot of bugs. I think I'm going to try to get some sleep. Good night.
I can't believe that I almost didn't stay. There was a moment, yesterday morning, when I seriously considered packing up. There were too many bugs and a lot of biting. Everything felt sharp around the edges, and I wondered if I had made a mistake by coming out here. But over the years, I've learned something about discomfort. It doesn't always mean you should stop what you're doing. Sometimes it means you're standing on the edge of something better, something that will push you to grow. You just have to keep walking forward. I slept great last night and woke up to this amazing sunrise. For the first time in a while, I didn't feel like rushing through it. I find a special kind of clarity when I swim in cold water. I love how it wakes me up and makes me more ready for the day. It's like a ritual that prepares me for whatever the day may bring. Today, it felt like a meditation. The water was still, and I found myself sitting in it for some time. I think I lost track of time of how long I was sitting in there. It bites you at first, but then it holds you. That's how this place feels now, like it has softened me, just a little, with space. Space to feel and observe things I usually outrun when I'm moving too much or I'm too busy. It gives me the chance to notice and recognize how far I've come. I don't know what's next, but for once, I'm not in a hurry to figure it out. There's a certain peace in not knowing and a relief in accepting the uncertainty. Whatever is around the corner, I'll meet it as I am. And I can't wait to see what's out there. Volcanoes resonate differently than mountains. I have traversed ridgelines around the world, but the first sight of Shasta left me speechless. 14,000 feet of fire-forged rock standing alone, with a prominence comparable to Rainier. I arrived thinking I would rest and maybe reset. Instead, the mountain offered me an initiation. The winds felt like a welcoming presence, and people refer to it as a vortex. You experience it before you fully believe it. A week spent in its presence challenged my habits, leaving me, the van, and everything that remained afterwards changed, all needing to adapt to this new integration. The drive from Colorado to Mount Shasta took over 18 hours, more than 1,000 miles of open road and changing landscapes. Yet, it never felt merely like a road trip. It felt like a journey towards something deeper. By the time I crossed into Northern California, the terrain had already begun to change. The boundaries between mountains and forests blurred, and the air felt more ancient. This part of the state feels forgotten, quiet, spacious, and untouched by the pressures of modern life. Endless pines stretch toward the sky, and the songs of birds echo through the forest. There's a tranquility here that doesn't demand anything from you. It simply exists, but beneath that calm, there's a weight. Volcanoes convey a kind of stillness that differs from other peaks. They possess a dormant sense of peace, yet are alive beneath the surface, and Mount Shasta is no exception. Its prominence reminds me of Mount Rainier, towering, massive, and set apart from everything around it. Still, there's something about the energy here that feels even stranger. The stories surrounding this mountain go back generations. Tales of underground cities, ancient wisdom, and unexplained phenomenon. I didn't come looking for legends. I came because something about this place called to me. When you're driving down the highway and catch your first glimpse of it, you can't help but be drawn in. I've always been attracted to mountains. Even as a child, I would gaze at them in quiet wonder. That feeling has never truly left me. Standing near something so much larger than yourself shifts your whole perspective on life. Now, walking through these woods, surrounded by the same childhood sense of scale and wonder, it's easy to forget the rest of the world. The only things that exist are this mountain, this forest, and whatever you bring into it.
I'm out here in Mount Shasta, and the energy is amazing here. If you're not familiar with this mountain, it's the start of the Cascade Range near the Pacific Northwest. It's also a volcano, and at 14,000 feet, it's very prominent. This is a well-known energy vortex spot, and some interesting things have been known to happen here in the past. It has quite the history. Everything from UFOs, Lemurians, portals, Sasquatch, and strange disappearances. If you can think of it, it's probably happened here. Energy vortexes are said to exist in places like these all over the world. And some people think that they emit a special kind of energy that influences the space or frequency around them. I happen to think there's something very special happening here at this mountain. I've been out here for a week taking in this beautiful scenery, meditating, hiking. It's so beautiful, and I love it here. The forest has this magical quality to it. I love the lichen coming off of the trees. Everything is so green, and all the bugs flying around, they just look like little fairies. I know they're bugs, but in the back of my mind, it's like, wow, this is just a magical forest. I don't think I've ever felt this relaxed in a place before. Now, let's make some breakfast. All right, let's try this. Oh, so good. Perfect. That was a delicious breakfast, but I think I'm going to be moving here soon because this is just a really buggy area. All the flies came out. I'm using a thermocell, so the mosquitoes aren't a problem, but I need to get out this forest because the flies are just too much of a nuisance. It's also too shady here with all the trees. They're beautiful. But I need to go out where there's less trees, more open space, and sunlight so I can charge my Jackery with my solar panel.
This has been a great campsite, but I have to leave because I need more power. There are too many changing shadows, and my Jackery solar panels require direct sunlight to charge effectively, so I'm headed up the road to find more sunlight. The back roads here are quite rough, but luckily my van has enough clearance to navigate them as long as I drive slowly. This year, I've learned just how capable my van is on different types of roads. Despite being rear-wheel drive, I'm surprised at the places I've been able to reach, as long as I make good decisions along the way. The views out here are incredible, and after driving up the mountain, I finally reached an elevation of 7,800 feet. This is the perfect spot to relax and recharge while taking in the scenery. I'm amazed that I can generate power here while I rest. Solar power still blows my mind. Usually, I would have to drive down the mountain for about 30 minutes and use gas. But now, I can just chill here for the day and enjoy the cooler climate while my battery charges up. I currently only have one 200-watt solar panel, which means it takes over 5 hours to collect enough energy for a full charge. Living this lifestyle has given me a deep appreciation for power and its significance. Before I lived in a van, I often took electricity for granted. I would simply flip a switch, and the power I needed was instantly available. But out here, energy is all around you. You just have to go out and collect it. It feels like a more intentional way to live.
It's been very hot outside, and there's been a lot of fires popping up around the Shasta Lake area. This area of Northern California still has a lot of drought to recover from. But when you look out into the view, it used to be clear, and now you can start to see some of that smoke rolling in. Luckily, it's quite a bit south of me by about 45 minutes, so I think I should be okay. On my way here, I saw Chinook helicopters gathering large amounts of water from the lake, lifting them up and then flying over to the fire to douse them so that they don't spread. It's pretty wild. I had to drink a bunch of water all day to stay hydrated. The sun has given me a lot of power, almost 1,000 watts, but the price to pay for that is a little bit of discomfort in the heat. The water that I'm drinking was gathered from the headwaters of the Sacramento River. It's water that took 50 years to go through all the aquifers, and is directly from Mount Shasta. That water was so tasty and clean that I didn't feel the need to use a water filter. And the best part is, I didn't get sick. If you decide to try it, definitely use your best judgment. You definitely don't want to get sick, especially when you're traveling. I usually use a water filter, but I was surprised to see how clean it was, so I decided to give it a try, and I got lucky. I just finished charging my Jackery to 100%, so I shouldn't have to worry about power for the next few days. I'm averaging utilizing about 15% of my Jackery every night because of how hot the temperatures are right now. Even at 7,000 feet, it's pretty warm.
I arrived a few hours before sunset at Panther Meadows, which is located high on the mountain just below the tree line. The quietness here invites you to match its stillness. According to the Wintu people, this is the place where their story begins. They emerged from this meadow. It is sacred ground. The meadow and the spring are more than just beautiful scenery. They represent a living legacy, carried through generations. There is so much positive energy. You can feel it when you're out here. I walked slowly and sat near the edge of the clearing, finding that meditation felt like the best thing to do in a place like this. There are also tales of Telos and the Lemurians, about a hidden city deep beneath the mountain, where ancient beings are said to still reside. I'm not here to prove or disprove any of those stories, but I can say this: the longer I stayed, the less I felt the need for words. My heart felt as if it were opening in a way that had never happened before. There's an honesty to this place. You can show up as you are. There's no expectation and no pressure to understand, just the space to be present. The more you enjoy the beauty, the more beautiful it becomes. When I left, I felt more aware of how much the land holds, and how rarely we take the time to notice those things. It was a journey of discovery, and I left feeling more engaged with the world around me.
Overall, it was a great day. I finally got the power that I needed. I had to wait in the sun for about 5 hours to get it, but it was worth it. It's much better collecting it out here than having to drive down to town and waste all that gas. And now I can run my fans all night without any worry. The smoke is really bad, but I'm hoping that it'll clear out tonight. I think I'm gonna head out for a hike in the morning. Good night.
Fortunately, the smoke cleared a bit overnight. The air feels lighter this morning, making it the perfect weather for hiking. I've been on this mountain for over a week now, and I never tire of it. Every time I turn a corner or glance up, I'm caught off guard. It's just as majestic, if not more so, than the last time I saw it. It's as if the mountain always has new ways to reveal itself. It speaks to you in your own language. I will always remember how this place made me feel. It opened something within me that I didn't realize was closed. Not in a dramatic way, but quietly, steadily, as though it was patiently waiting for me to notice. Now, as I drive down the mountain, I feel fulfilled. I leave not just with memories, but also with questions, insights, and ideas that I didn't expect to take away. It will take time to sort through all of it. Not to make sense of every detail, but to allow it to settle and shape me in its own way. When I finally arrived at the trailhead, the weather was much hotter than I'd expected. The descent from the top of Mount Shasta was significant, with over a 3,000-foot elevation change. Every foot definitely makes a difference in the summer here. Fortunately, this hike is ideal for warm weather. There's plenty of shade along the way. When I first came across the flowing water, I felt a sense of relief. I couldn't wait to cool down. Fairy Falls is more than just a picturesque waterfall. It is considered by many to be a part of Mount Shasta's extended energetic field. The name itself is derived from the belief that this area possesses high vibrational energy. This is the energy that some believe attracts elemental beings such as fairies or nature spirits. Visitors often report feeling a sense of calm, lightness, or even a childlike sense of wonder here. In metaphysical circles, this area is viewed as one of the mountain's softer vortexes, less intense than the summit, but still powerful for reflection, healing, and connecting with subtle energies. In spiritual lore, waterfalls are often thought to cleanse emotional energy and heighten awareness, especially when paired with an energetic mountain like Shasta. Some visitors describe Fairy Falls as a reset point, especially after spending time near stronger vortex areas like Pluto's Cave or Panther Meadows. It is also considered one of the more accessible sacred sites, welcoming those who may be more sensitive or simply seeking peace without the intensity of Shasta's higher altitudes. Those who believe in Telos, the inner Earth Lemurian city said to exist beneath Mount Shasta, often describe Fairy Falls as a place where the veil between worlds is thinner. While Telos is usually associated with deeper meditation sites like Ascension Rock or Panther Meadows, Fairy Falls is said to embody a more playful and elemental energy.
That water was so cold, but on a hot day like this, that's exactly what I needed. And now that I played in the water for a little bit and cooled off, I'm gonna get headed down the road.
As I leave the waterfall and make my way back to the van, I feel an immediate sense of relief. The heat has lifted, my body feels lighter, and my mind is quiet. There's something about being near a waterfall that strips away the clutter, even if it's just for a little while. This place has offered more than I expected. Whether or not you believe in energy vortexes or hidden cities beneath the mountain, you'll probably find something here that resonates with you. It's in the air, the trees, the way light filters through the forest. You don't have to explain it to feel it. For me, this part of Mount Shasta has served as a reminder that stillness and beauty are always available if you're willing to slow down and look for them. The cool water on a hot day, the quiet trail winding through the trees, the way light filters through the forest. These are the subtle healers. They've taught me that healing isn't always loud or obvious. It's the small, everyday moments that we often overlook. It's the realization that you carry with you something that wasn't there before, a sense of peace and understanding. And maybe that's the gift. Learning to notice what's already here and letting it change you. I had been sleeping in the van for weeks, chasing trailheads, dodging heat, and letting the motion keep me from sitting still for too long. Then I saw it on the map, a thin line climbing toward an Alpine lake, tucked deep in the mountains and difficult to access. It was just out of reach for my van. I had no choice but to go out on foot and camp there. I drove until the road disappeared. Then I laced up my shoes, loaded my camera gear, and started the climb. This place was not easy to reach. The trail offered nothing for free. There were horseflies, heat, and dust, and my pack felt heavier with every mile. But the harder it became, the quieter my mind grew. When I finally reached the lake, it was a sight to behold. Not only was it beautiful, but it also provided the stillness I've been looking for. The fires in Northern California and Oregon were producing too much smoke for me to handle, so I left Mount Shasta in search of clear skies and cooler weather. After 12 hours of driving through winding roads and beautiful landscapes, I found myself in the heart of Idaho. The journey was long, but the anticipation of reaching my destination kept me going, and it was all worth it when I arrived. There's no service out here, so I have to rely on my memory of this place. I came here 3 years ago, and I'm excited to be back. Some places leave a lasting impression on you, and you have to experience them again because they are that good. For me, it's the serene beauty of Idaho, the friendly locals, and the sense of tranquility that draws me back. Leaving the van always feels a bit strange. After living out of it for weeks, it becomes a sort of safety net, a shell that moves with you with everything you need. Stepping away from that, carrying everything you need, and heading out on foot can make you feel exposed. I packed more than I probably should have. Camera gear, extra lenses, a tripod, and batteries. I wanted to ensure I wouldn't miss a thing. I might regret this decision later, but for now, the pack doesn't feel heavy, especially when the air is filled with the scent of sun-warmed pine and the trail calls me forward. I started a little later than I had planned, and the heat is already rising. About a mile in, I reached the wilderness boundary. I signed the permit box, tuck the tag into my pocket, and keep moving. I'm on my own out here, and while it feels a little isolating, it's also exactly what I came for.
I'm out here in the middle of Idaho in the sawtooth wilderness. I had to leave California and Oregon because it was just too smoky. The wildfires in the area made it harder to breathe. Tonight I'll be sleeping at a beautiful Alpine lake out here. The bugs out here are really bad. They're just orbiting around my head continuously whenever I stop. I don't have the ideal backpack with me because this was a last-minute decision. But luckily, I always keep extra camping gear in the van just in case I want to go out and do something like this. I'm using my GoRuck GR2 bag for all my camping gear. It's a great bag, but the base weight is something like 5 pounds, but I'm just glad that it fits all my stuff. It's heavier than the camping gear inside the bag. I'm going super minimal with this trip, just a tent, pad, and a 40-degree quilt from Hammock Gear. And I totally forgot my bear spray in the van, so hopefully there's no bears out here. We have about 5 miles of uphill, better get going down the trail, and all these bugs are killing me. I gotta get moving again.
As I venture deeper into the wilderness, I'm attacked by horseflies that chase me through the woods like heat-seeking missiles. They are the size of my thumb. They orbit around me like satellites, tracking my every movement and waiting for the moment I slow down just enough for them to land and deliver their painful bite. The heat of the day, combined with my uphill hike while carrying heavy gear, makes me the perfect target for these endless attacks. But I refuse to be discouraged. The Sawtooth Wilderness also lies within the historic range of the grizzly bear. But the species was eliminated from the region decades ago due to habitat loss and hunting. While grizzlies occasionally wander down through central Idaho, they are not currently established in the Sawtooths. Out here, black bears are far more common. Usually, the uphill trek wouldn't be this difficult with a lighter pack. But right now, I can feel every ounce of what I've brought with me, making the journey quite challenging, even though I've been conditioning for this trip for months.
I have about 2 miles to go before I'm at the lake. We're doing the final uphill and it's brutal, especially in the sun. I'm second guessing bringing my extra camera and all my gear, but this is for you guys. Let's go.
Once I climbed out of the lower elevation forest and marshy areas, I transitioned into the open, windy alpine boulder fields and moving streams. I seemed to move out of range of the horsefly attacks. I was able to rehydrate from the fresh flowing stream, which gave me the energy I needed for the final push to the lake. Up here, it finally felt like I could take it easy. There weren't as many bugs, and a cool breeze occasionally swept through. Before I knew it, I spotted the clear water of Avalanche Lake, and it looked so inviting. This is one of the larger remote alpine lakes I've encountered, and it really puts the scale of nature into perspective. Out here, it feels like true rugged wilderness, an experience that only miles of hiking can provide. I felt tired and sore from the uphill trek. After exploring the area around the lake for a while, I found the ideal camping spot among the trees. This will be the perfect location if a storm rolls in. The trees will provide a good windbreak, and when the sun comes out, I'll have some shade to cool off. I'm using my Z-Pax Duplex, made of Cuban fiber. I love this tent. It's super lightweight, weighing only 18.5 ounces, and can fit up to 2 people, but I'll have plenty of room for just myself tonight. I think it's amazing that I can fit this whole ultralight setup in my van. I only brought 3 tent stakes to cut down on some weight, so I'm using the environment to help set up my tent.
This feels amazing. That was quite a hike. It took a lot out of me. I feel like I need to go sleep for like 2 days after that. I usually pack way lighter than that. I must have brought like 40 pounds of gear. My goodness. Oh. I totally made that a 9.5 when it should have only been like a 6 out of 10 for difficulty. I've done this whole loop before, so I think I just got overconfident and decided to bring all of my gear. But now that I have it all up here, hopefully I can get some good shots and get some good rest.
As soon as I entered the freezing Alpine Lake, I can feel pins and needles all over my body. It's an instant shock. Over the years, I've learned to appreciate the benefits of cold water therapy and cold swims. They're especially effective after a tough uphill workout or dealing with inflammation of any kind. It can be challenging at first, but after a couple of minutes, I can successfully acclimate to the cold.
That water was absolutely frigid, but my muscles needed it. It felt so good. Now I feel like I can finally relax.
The evening is when the mosquitoes come out, and this thermocell will help repel them as I collect more water using my lightweight Catadine water filter. I love how small and compact it is, and how fast it filters water.
Let's see how this water tastes. So refreshing. I don't like to carry a lot of water with me, which is crazy because despite how little water I was carrying, my bags were still heavy. Usually the water is like the heaviest item. But there's so much water out here that I can usually just filter in the stream right off the trail. There's quite a few people out here. We'll see if that's a mistake. Usually I'm one of the few ones here, but I guess this hike has gotten so popular over the years that it's just always packed like this now. There's just a bunch of kids over here throwing rocks into the lake. I mean, I get it. When I was a kid, I did those sorts of things too. But you could probably cut down on your kids screaming since people come out here to enjoy some peace and quiet. But maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just gone in the middle of the week instead of on a Friday. It is what it is. I'm going to make the best of it. Overall, I really like my spot that I picked. I got this nice little secluded area, trees wrapped around me, so I have plenty of shade. I have water access. I have mountain views. Can't get much better than this. The thermocell is working really well for the most part. Every now and then a stray mosquito will come in, but compared to when I walk about 20 feet away from the tent, the mosquitoes just ravage you. So my guess is that there's been more water available for the mosquitoes to lay their eggs with all this extra snow melt. It's about mid-July. The last time I was out here in the Sawtooth Wilderness was August of 2022. There was not near as many bugs compared to now.
As I looked out at the jagged lines and ridges surrounding me, I couldn't help but feel grateful for having reached this spot. I faced many challenges along the way. Enduring the relentless heat that seeped into my bones, swatting away persistent horseflies buzzing around my head, navigating steep inclines with a heavy pack that dug into my shoulders, and dealing with the disappointment of having some gear stolen earlier in the day. I had mistakenly left my gear out overnight, and after hiking a mile in the opposite direction without finding it, I realized that one of my favorite tripods was now gone forever. I must have gotten too excited on my way up here and left it behind by accident. That tripod had been with me for years. It had captured light in places I thought I'd never reach. But maybe it served its purpose. Perhaps some things are meant to stay behind, so that we can be more present as we move forward. I used to think that beauty came from perfection, from having all my gear, getting the shot, and sticking to the plan. But maybe the real beauty resides in the things that don't go as planned. In the missed shots, in the mistakes, and in the fact that I'm here at all. The challenges I faced to get here were not easy, but they amplified the joy of being here. Sometimes the price of capturing the beauty of places like this is losing oneself in the moment. Yet perhaps getting lost in the moment is not a loss at all, but a gain in mindfulness and appreciation. Maybe that's where life truly happens. In those unguarded seconds, when the view pulls you out of your head and into your heart. I think it's good to find places like this, places that inspire you and make you forget about everything else. These are the places that don't care about your deadlines, forgive your mistakes, and remind you that wonder isn't something you chase, it's something you remember deep in your soul. And when you do, it makes all the weight that you carried up here feel surprisingly light.
This thermarest is so comfortable. That sunset was amazing, but I sure am glad I'm back in my tent so I can enjoy this thermarest. Feels amazing on my back. I miss this. I can't believe it's been like 6 months since I last was camping. There's a lot less snow this time, but that's replaced by bugs now. The thermocell's been great. There hasn't been a ton of mosquitoes in my campsite since I've turned it on. For tonight's dinner, we're having a Cliff Bar. I know it's super yummy. It's the best food that I've ever had. I know, not really, but it gets the job done, and it puts food in you when you really need it, which is right now. Bon appetit. I also just noticed I'm extremely sunburned. It's going to feel great tomorrow. These mountains messed me up, but I'm glad I'm out here. I'm cozy. I got my 40-degree quilt from Hammock Gear. That combined with this thermarest, and I'll be super cozy. When I get out of here, I'm going to have to buy some aloe vera. I swear I put on sunscreen. I don't know what it is. I'm like allergic to the sun. Overall, it was a great day. That uphill to this lake was brutal. definitely challenge myself more by taking all of my camera gear. Next time I'm bringing one camera and one lens instead of two each. That's just ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess my thought was, I've done this whole loop before. I'm just going to Alice Lake. It's like 5 or 6 miles. I could handle it. Whatever, I'll just take breaks. But I was taking breaks like every 7 minutes and just setting a timer. Hopefully tomorrow will be a lot easier since I'm going downhill and not uphill. But hopefully the footage quality was worth it and you guys are enjoying it. I had to suffer for it, but that's okay. Getting pretty tired. I think I'm headed to sleep. Good night.
I must have been more worn out than I realized, because sunrise came and went without me. There were no golden beams on the tent wall and no birdsong alarm. Just stillness. When I finally stepped out, the ripples on the lake were mesmerizing to look at. The rush of yesterday had drained away. Most of the other hikers had already packed up, heading down the trail or onto the loop, leaving this place to breathe on its own once again. Maybe that's what I needed most. Not the spectacle of a fiery sunrise, but this quiet that settles in after people leave. I walked slowly, with no destination in mind, letting my eyes wander and my breath catch up. It felt so much easier to move around today, now that I've had time to acclimate to the elevation. This was the rest I needed. For a moment, it felt like time had forgotten about me, which honestly was kind of perfect.
I slept great last night. It only got down to the upper 50s, which was nice. To me, that's perfect camping weather. The wind only now is just starting to pick up, but the tent's still holding. Once it got dark, people around me finally went to sleep. Also, I just want to say that I love that people are getting outdoors. I think it's great that people are able to connect with nature in this way. But when places like this get super crowded, it can place stress on the environment in a way that it wasn't meant to support.
I only brought 3 tent stakes with me on this trip, and this is something that you can do when you don't have enough to hold down your tent. For this pullout, I used 3 rocks to weigh it down, and I used this auto-locking trucker's hitch. It's basically just a little half hitch, and then you loop it twice through itself, and it creates this friction and tension, and you can just pull, and it'll cinch it down. Held up really well. Over here for this tie-out, I used this old log, and it's the same thing. Just take that half hitch, loop it in through twice, cinch it down, and it creates this tension. Held up really well. This ground is really hard, rocky dirt, and I don't have a hammer with me. That would just be too much. So I used this rock to pound my stakes in, and it worked well. I'm hoping that protects me today.
As I leave Alice Lake and retrace my steps along the trail, I notice a significant change. The burden that weighed me down on the way in seems to have lifted, making my steps feel more effortless. Some of that is due to the altitude acclimation, but a lot of it is me, more settled and in sync with nature. These natural sanctuaries always demand something from us. It's not always in a forceful or immediate way. It comes in the ascent, in the tranquility, and how our own breath often becomes the most prominent sound when we're silent enough to hear it. It's interesting. We often say we come out here to escape, but I believe it's actually about remembering what lies beneath everything. It's about reconnecting with the fundamental truths of life, the simplicity and beauty of nature, and the peace that comes from being in harmony with the world around us. There's a version of myself that only emerges after the signal drops, when the path gets steep and there's nothing left to do but keep walking towards my goal. Today, on my way out, I feel fully in tune with that version of myself again. Steady, lighter, and quietly content in a deeply satisfying way that doesn't need to be filled. And maybe that's what this place offers in return. Not always the answers we seek, but a better way to listen. And in that, perhaps, a better way to live. A life filled with reflection, contemplation, and a deep connection to the natural world. The high mountains of Colorado always feel like a fresh start to me. Up here, the air gets thinner, the noise fades, and everything feels more clear. The light, the silence, and even the risks. There's a rhythm here, crystal lakes that never fully thaw, sunsets that light up the sky, and wildflowers that bloom like they know their time is short. Some wildflowers only get 2 weeks, maybe less, before the snow returns and covers the meadow again. It's beautiful, but it's also harsh. Storms don't give warnings up here. One minute you're laughing in the sun, the next you're running for shelter. That unpredictability, that raw, wild feeling, is part of why I keep coming back. After leaving Idaho and heading back to Colorado, I realized I put a lot of miles on my van. So I dropped it off in Fort Collins for some maintenance before moving on to Aspen. I convinced my friend Michelle to join me on a camping trip. I've been training for weeks for this hike. It's not easy. I've attempted the 4-pass loop before, but last time there was too much snow and it was too risky to continue, so we had to turn back and take another way out. This time, I'm not attempting the full 4-pass loop. Instead, I'm spending 3 days and 2 nights hiking out to Snowmass Lake. I've been looking forward to coming back and experiencing this place without feeling rushed. But the weather doesn't look great, and this place is remote and takes time to get to. The Colorado summer monsoon is in full swing, so reaching the lake will be a real challenge. This is one of the densest trails I've ever hiked. It really feels like an off-the-beaten-path adventure. There's a lot of overgrown plants covering the trail, making it feel even more remote compared to coming in from the north by the Maroon Bells and Maroon Lake. Thick forests and aspen trees line the path, and animals dart across the trail ahead out of the corner of my eye. The area feels enchanted, almost untouched by people. It feels like we're the only ones out here. As light rain begins to fall, I start to wonder what the forecast has in store for us, and if the mountain will decide whether or not to let us stay to achieve our goals. We made it about 2 miles from the trailhead and found a campsite just before it got dark. I was just thankful to have a nice spot to rest for the night. It wasn't a tough hiking day by any stretch, but the long drive and smoke from the wildfires out west left us more tired than usual. The air quality out here can significantly impact your performance. Morning came quickly and brought mixed signals about whether or not we should keep going. There were a lot of clouds at first, but soon the sky started to clear. But I knew that weather forecasts in the mountains aren't always reliable. Storms can arrive much earlier than expected because conditions change quickly. We went back and forth for at least 2 hours before finally deciding to give it a try. No matter what the weather might bring, we would try for the lake. But at the first sign of bad weather, we both agreed that it would be a good idea to turn back and find safety below treeline.
Last night, the winds were just blowing into the tent, and it sounded like there were freight trains going over us. Our goal today is to make it up to Snowmass Lake before all the storms roll in the afternoon, but we'll see if we get that far. The weather is very unpredictable up here, and you don't want to be caught up on the ridge exposed when storms are going through. Lightning is a real risk up here. I'm joined by my friend Michelle for this trip, and this is going to be a race against time to see how far we can get. Better get going. So it took forever for us to decide this morning where we were going to go because the clouds were just moving so fast and we were really scared.
It took too long to come to the...
I almost slid.
It's all right.
I almost slid in the mud.
It took too long to get to the decision, but what were we doing? Looking at pictures on my phone, and the lake was in the folder of inspiration shots. And so was that the deciding factor?
Yeah, I think
the alternatives were too far away driving-wise.
We saw the lake of Snowmass in our pictures just like looking at us. It's like, well, we're already here. But then you can get trapped in that sunk cost fallacy where it's like, oh, I put in all this work to get here, but then it could end up being more dangerous if you stay. It's just amazing to me that looking up at this canyon, you see the clouds move in so quick, like these huge clouds. It's clear one moment and then you just don't know what's over the ridge. But we'll make it.
We've got blue sky for now.
And we're in plenty of cover, so it's not dangerous compared to being on top of the mountain.
Even though I often head into the wilderness alone, it's really nice to have company on trips like this. It's a welcome change. The miles seem to pass more quickly when you're not hiking by yourself, and it feels safer as well. But not everyone wants to go camping or backpacking, so it's important to build self-reliance and be able to still enjoy the things that you want to do. Don't let it stop you. But if you're just starting out, bringing a friend can be the perfect way to share the experience and stay safe outdoors. Having someone to talk with and share some moments together can make the whole trip more memorable than if you were to just go alone. You can learn a lot from each other, and facing challenges together often brings people closer. After about 4 miles and a steady climb, we finally reached a river. The first water we'd seen in hours. The last section of trail had been dry. Earlier, we could hear water far below, but the steep terrain made it impossible to get to, so we kept going. Hiking with a heavy pack can be harder on your mind than your legs. You find yourself making deals. Just get to the next turn. Maybe there's some shade. When we finally reached the water, we felt relieved. We dropped our packs and quietly filtered what we needed. In that moment, simply resting by the river felt like a reward for all the effort we put in so far. It reminded us how even small victories can mean everything out here.
The weather finally cleared up. We had a little bit of rain about, maybe 45 minutes ago, and then 20 minutes later it was back to being blue skies. So we found a nice spot to eat lunch, and we're basically to the edge of the permit zone, I'd say. So I'm not sure how much farther we'll go, but we'll probably see the lake today. My guess, it's holding.
Yeah, those storms are pretty gnarly. For 1 second it was sunny, then it looked like we were about to get hailed on. Now it's sunny again, and it's like with that, your emotions go up and down. I'm feeling pretty optimistic that we're going to be able to reach the lake probably today, and if not today, tomorrow.
It's been over 3 years since I was last here, and the trail has changed a lot. The easy water crossings I remembered are now tangled log jams that take much longer to get across. Luckily, the storms were holding off for now, but up ahead I could see clouds building and growing darker. I knew we needed to find a campsite soon. Since we didn't have a permit to camp at the lake on this trip, our plan was to get as close to the boundary as possible and look for a good spot. It turned out to be harder than we thought. We had to set up camp deeper in the forest than we planned. The bugs and flies near the edge of the boundary were terrible. I had to use bug spray and wear a bug net because they kept flying into my face. This part of the forest was full of wildlife, and it didn't feel like we were alone. A deer snuck up behind us in the dark while we were hiding our bear cans. We went to sleep and woke up to heavy rain and close lightning strikes that echoed through the mountains with a sharp metallic sound. I wondered if we might have to turn back, but we were so close. only 1.5 miles and 1,000 feet of elevation to go. Once the storm passed, we decided to go for it. Not knowing how long the good weather would last, we hiked as fast as we could. My legs burned, but there was a quiet defiance in pushing forward, because turning back now would mean more than just missing a lake. It would mean letting the mountain decide my limits, and I wasn't ready to give it that kind of authority.
We spent 2 hours bitching out this morning, deciding whether or not we were going to go for this hike. Then the weather cleared, and even though my Garmin said rain all day, we're going to go for it anyways, because we're almost there.
We're only like a mile away. It's like 800 feet of elevation, so...
No bitches on this hike. The weather looked really bad. It kept raining all morning. Crossing some water right now. Wouldn't that be funny if I fell in? Wouldn't be the first time. But yeah, we're almost there, and it's going well so far. We've got blue sky. Fingers crossed it stays that way. We'll see.
When we finally crested the ridge, the lake came into view. Still, blue, and completely calm. I felt a wave of relief. The climb from camp was easier than I'd expected. And waiting out the storm below turned out to be the right choice. Up here, at almost 11,000 feet high, the weather stays still just long enough to make you think that the calm will last. But in these mountains, calm is tricky. Storms roll in quickly, and lightning doesn't care if you're standing in the water or pressed against the shore. That's what I love about this place. The beauty never lasts. Nothing here stays the same. Not the weather, not the quiet, not even us.
The moment everyone has been waiting for on this entire multi-day journey is blowing these tubes up and swimming. I am very excited. It's a crappy $5 tube, but it gets the job done. And if I hauled it all the way up here for nothing, I'd be very sad. So I'm going to start blowing this up. It's going to take forever. Do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Yay! Yay! Yeah, no, I'm fine here. Thank you. Thank you.
It's so cold! Oh my god!
No, I'm good here.
It's so cold!
Yeah, that couple who was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, yeah.
That is freezing!
Got it. It's
It's
so cold.
so cold!
I feel like you gotta just put your focus on it and just shower. There you go.
From the water, I watched the clouds gather beyond the ridge, moving in quickly and quietly, like they'd been waiting for their moment. We'd come a long way to get here, and every step made this moment feel earned. Snowmass is far from everything, a lake you have to truly want to reach. We lingered over lunch, not wanting to break the spell, knowing the mountain wouldn't stay calm for long. Up here, nothing is promised. Sometimes you're forced to leave before you're ready, and sometimes, like today, you get to stay just long enough to remember why you made the journey. Maybe that's what makes these places unforgettable, the way the mountain can take everything back in an instant. And when it doesn't, when it lets you linger, it feels less like a victory and more like a gift. The trail back took us through Alpine meadows, shady forests, and fields of wildflowers swaying in the wind. The weather held out just long enough for us to reach the car, almost like the mountain was giving us a gentle farewell. There were moments when turning back seemed easier, but we kept moving forward. In making that choice, something inside me shifted. In the Rockies, summer storms make you weigh risk against reward and trust your own judgment. It's a lot like life. The toughest moments are often the ones that shape you the most. Out here, there's no scoreboard or applause, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing you pushed through when it counted. If you can keep moving through uncertainty, the reward is more than the view. It's knowing you chose courage over fear. The strength you find on the trail follows you home, showing up in ways you don't expect. That's something you carry long after the journey ends. Sometimes the real summit isn't the mountain at all. It's the part of you that refused to give up. Some places don't just look different, they shift your understanding of the world. Glacier is one of those rare places. It works its magic through profound beauty. It's a quiet, steady power that sharpens your senses. How the wind moves through the pines. How small you feel beneath an endless sky. Once you felt that power, once it's touched you, it's impossible to return unchanged. You carry it with you, whether you intend to or not. After leaving Aspen, I picked up the van and made the long drive north to Glacier National Park. It's been ages since I ventured this far north. At 48 degrees north, summer days stretch on and linger. The Earth's tilt draws the sun closer, but even at midday, it never climbs directly overhead. This landscape owes its dramatic form to the Ice Age, which began nearly 2 million years ago. Enormous ice sheets advanced and retreated across North America until about 10,000 years ago. In what is now Glacier National Park, the final retreat left valleys carved by deep glaciers. These rivers of ice sculpted the land through relentless pressure, shaping the striking features that we see today. Though the Ice Age glaciers have vanished, their legacy is unmistakable. Massive U-shaped valleys, glacial lakes, horns, and moraines are just a few of the features that define Glacier National Park's rugged beauty. Look closely, and you'll spot scratches etched into the rock, lasting signatures of the grinding ice. Driving through, you feel as if you're crossing an unfinished draft of the earth. Raw, weighted with memory, but vibrant in the present. Today, we live in a warmer world. Most of the glaciers that carve these landscapes have melted away, with only a few lingering in the highest elevations. Even giants don't last forever. These peaks show that beauty is born from being reshaped again and again. Winters here bury the region in snow for up to 8 months, leaving the access road open for only about 4 months each year. As a result, active snowmelt and countless waterfalls continue to slowly shape the land. Each turn in the road reveals another torrent of water bursting from the cliffs, as if the mountains themselves are still in motion, still reshaping their own design. The region also sits in an active storm track. The jet stream shifts north and south with the seasons, and right now it runs just north of the park, pulling bursts of wind, rain, and light across the mountains. Because of this, the weather here is unpredictable, and you have to stay flexible with any plans to explore. But that unpredictability is part of Glacier's lesson. You're not in control. The mountain sets the pace, and all you can do is pay attention. If you're willing to listen, this land teaches humility and awe in equal measure. In Glacier, every moment reminds you how vast and alive the world truly is.
We're out here in Glacier National Park. The weather has been extremely rainy and foggy in northern Montana over the past few days. We're hoping for some sun today, but if it doesn't happen, that's okay. We'll take what we can get. My girlfriend Anne is going to be joining us for this trip. Out here, the challenges include grizzly bears, crowds, and unpredictable weather. Hopefully we're prepared for what's ahead, but we're going for it anyway.
Our hike begins at Logan Pass, the highest point in the park, perched over 6,600 feet above sea level. Today brings the clearest visibility that we've had in days, but the peaks remain veiled in upslope fog and drifting clouds. With the weather so unpredictable, we waited for just the right window before setting out. Even now, the mountains don't reveal themselves all at once. They emerge in fragments, a slow unveiling that keeps you wondering what lies beyond the next bend. The trail feels suspended. Cliffs fall away off to one side, wildflowers cling to the edge, as if they too are holding their breath. Glacier is home to nearly 300 grizzly bears. The Highline Trail winds through their most active territory, making sightings possible, especially later in the season, as bears feed heavily before winter. The uncertainty of how many might be nearby on any given day is part of what makes this place feel so alive. Sharing this trail with such formidable wildlife adds a dimension of humility and responsibility to every mile we cover. Each step carries a quiet tension. You scan the brush, listening for the faintest rustle, and suddenly, the line between beauty and danger feels razor thin. A reminder that awe and fear often travel side by side. That part of wonder is knowing it could shift at any moment into something else entirely. We both carry bear spray and make steady noise, announcing ourselves to any bears nearby, because startling a grizzly is the last thing you want out here. It feels absurd sometimes, calling out into the silence, clapping your hands into still mountain air, but the ritual steadies your nerves. This is their home first, and you are only just passing through. The last fatal grizzly attacks in Glacier occurred on August 13th, 1967, when 2 young women were killed in separate incidents, a night known as Night of the Grizzlies. Back then, people fed bears from their cars and left garbage out, making the animals dangerously familiar with humans. Decades have passed since that tragedy, but on trails like the Highline, we're reminded these are still wild grizzlies, and that extreme caution remains essential. Even decades later, that memory lingers in the air, like a warning stitched into the landscape itself. Wilderness isn't just scenery, it's alive, unpredictable, and sometimes unforgiving. That's what makes being here feel so raw and so real. And maybe that's the draw, a place that refuses to be safe or easy, but instead demands respect, presence, and humility with every step you take.
We are turning back at around the 2-mile mark because I think I saw a bear in the brush. It was like shaking its head, kind of like a dog did.
Fluffy.
And I didn't really want to find out, but it looked pretty big. I heard a bunch of cracking in the woods. It sounded pretty heavy, a lot heavier than a human would sound. So now we're gonna head back after about 2 miles. I'd say that overall, the Highline Trail is really beautiful. I don't feel like I have to do the whole thing. I'm sure there's beautiful waterfalls and stuff, but now we're gonna head back.
There's definitely a bear. I gotta climb up a waterfall, because if you're not living life on the edge, you're taking up too much room.
After our close encounter with the grizzly, we needed space to breathe. Our power was running low, and after 2 days wrapped in clouds, the sun finally broke through. We steered east, searching for quieter ground, somewhere to lay out lunch, recharge, and let the tension of the trail dissolve into stillness. The chaos of the park faded behind us, replaced by a calm that almost felt like a reward.
We're just stopping out here, a little quiet corner. It's kind of madness in the park right now. There's people parking everywhere
On top of each other.
and stopping in the middle of the road to take a picture.
Not what you're supposed to do. And people stopped on the side to look at bears. We couldn't see it though.
We're charging our Jackery with 2 solar panels because we haven't had a lot of sun over the past 3 days. But right now I'm pulling like 452 watts, which I don't know how that's possible. But it just shows you how strong the sun is up here. If you ever decide to go to Glacier National Park in the summertime during a weekend on a sunny day, it's definitely going to be busy. And it's kind of hard to work around. But the best thing to do is probably just take advantage of the shuttle system here, and then that way you'll guarantee getting a spot. At Logan Pass especially, anytime we left the van just to go to the bathroom or get some gear from the van before we headed out, people were constantly asking us every 2 minutes if we're going to be leaving.
So be patient. It's worth it. Even though there's lots of people, most people are really friendly and are just trying to enjoy their day too.
After a restful afternoon recharging and sharing lunch, we set out for St. Mary Lake to catch the sunset. There's something about late afternoon light. It slows you down, inviting you to notice details the midday sun lets slip by. St. Mary Lake is one of my favorite places in the park. Standing on its shore feels like entering a cathedral of nature, with granite spires and ridges encircling you on all sides. It's the kind of place that doesn't just impress, it humbles. That's why I keep returning to places like this, to feel small again, and to remember that stillness is its own quiet power. The geology of Glacier is truly remarkable. Along St. Mary Lake's shore, pebbles shimmer in reds, greens, blues, and golds, each a fragment of deep geologic time. These stones are part of the Belt supergroup, ancient sediments deposited more than 1 billion years ago in vast inland seas. Their vibrant colors come from iron. Reds and oranges appear where it oxidizes like rust. Greens formed in low oxygen waters as minerals like chlorite. Over millennia, glaciers sculpted and polished these rocks, and now the lake's waves arrange them into vivid mosaics. What looked like scattered jewels on the shore are really pieces of Earth's history, written in stone. I can't help but wonder, if the hardest things can be shaped by time and pressure, what does that say about us? About what we carry, and what we're still becoming. After sunset, we returned to our campsite at Rising Sun Campground. Surrounded by raspberries and huckleberries, we cooked dinner as the last light faded from the sky.
Tonight we're having egg rolls from Trader Joe's. They're really delicious, fast, easy meal. It's a perfect meal after you went for an Alpine swim. It was super cold in that lake.
Cold.
But let's see how these taste.
Cheers.
So good. Wow. I'm not sponsored by Trader Joe's,
Yet.
but in the future, if Trader Joe's wants to sponsor, I love your egg rolls. So please send more. It's nice to have an air fryer, but if you're going to have an air fryer, you want at least something like 400 watts so that you can recharge what you're using, because it uses a lot. We just burned through like 10% of our power that we collected today.
Oops. Worth it.
Overall, it was a really good day. We did 2 miles of the Highline Trail, so about 4 miles total. We saw a bear. It was kind of scary, but I would say that I think that the Highline Trail, it's a beautiful trail. Everyone should do it at least once. It's kind of like Half Dome, but definitely not near as hard. We didn't do the full thing. I'm sure it's beautiful. It just kind of continues on like that. I think that the Highline Trail should be treated kind of like Half Dome, where they give out permits by lottery so that there's not all this traffic on the trail. There's just pockets where it's just really not managed correctly. It's just overlapping. And yes, you have the entry system for the going to the sun road where you get an allotted time and then you get on if you come in after 7 a.m. But that's just not enough for a trail like the Highline Trail. We were there early this morning and that whole lot filled up by like 6:15. So they need to do something, especially for Logan Pass, because everyone just beelines it for there, and there's like nothing you can do. You have these poor people circling, and they can't find a spot. They have to address something with that. But with all the budget cuts that they have in the national parks, it's no wonder why they can't keep a good handle on it.
And especially the Highline Trail, it's so narrow. You have to like hold on to a cable or you're going to just fall off a cliff. And it's hard to make sure that other people have space to walk around you. And that's a little scary. But everyone was so nice on the trail and made lots of new friends.
We woke up to the clearest skies of the week, and not a cloud in sight. The whole place felt transformed. It was so quiet. We packed up early and set out for Avalanche Lake, eager to make the most of the clear morning. For the first time, the peak stood in sharp relief, every ridge and seam of stone revealed, no longer hidden by mist. This is a place that asks for time, to notice the changes, to watch the light shift through every kind of weather. And just when it starts to feel familiar, you realize you're already running out of time. This was my first time walking through a cedar forest, and it caught me off guard in the best way. Unfamiliar, but immediately grounding. The trail winds beneath thick canopies, offering deep, cool shade, a welcome relief on a warm day. In some places, light barely touches the path, scattering through leaves like flecks of gold on stone. I'm surprised by how few bugs there are. Cedars naturally repel many insects, making the walk even more pleasant. The forest floor is lush with ferns, thriving in the cool, filtered light. They crowd the trail's edge like a soft green tide, soaking up every trace of moisture and shadow. At just 3,000 feet, the elevation is much lower than you'd expect for such a lush forest. Water is everywhere here. Around every bend, you catch a waterfall or stream, or hear the faint rush in the distance. Sometimes it's barely a whisper. Other times it roars just out of view. Always present, always pulling you forward. The water is so fresh. I stop for a drink, a small ritual that makes me feel even more connected to this place. It's cold enough to sting, but clear enough to make you forget the weight in your pack. Walking here, you sense the quiet history in every fallen log and sunbeam filtering through the leaves. I pause often, simply to listen. The gentle breeze in the canopy, the distant call of a bird, the rhythm of my own footsteps blending with the forest's quiet song. It feels so good to be in a place like this. It feels necessary. Wild places like this are vital for grounding us and reconnecting with nature. Not just to escape, but to remember how to slow down, how to pay attention, and how to belong to something bigger than yourself. 3 hours after setting out, we finally arrived to Avalanche Lake. The trail winds through quiet forest and alongside streams, and we let the calm of the landscape set our pace. Sunlight scatters across the surface in shifting fragments, a restless kind of beauty. A few hikers passed by, mentioning that they saw a bear nearby, taking a quick swim in the lake. Sharing this wild place with bears, we're only visitors in their home. I can't blame the bear for wanting to be here. There's a pull to this place that feels universal. For a few moments, I feel completely refreshed, as if the lake is sharing its energy with me. Not just cooling my skin, but clearing my mind, and leaving me lighter than when I arrived. Leaving the lake, the hike back feels quieter. Step by step, the forest begins to fold the moment back into itself, as if nothing happened, as if it was always meant to be temporary. The park doesn't offer you a grand farewell. It simply continues, vast and alive, while you move forward, changed by what you've seen. I think about how glaciers once carved all of this, and how, even now, streams and storms keep reshaping the land. Nothing here holds still. Not the stone, not the water, not the light, not even us. This is what Glacier offers. Not just beauty, but the wisdom that everything is shaped by change, and that transformation is not loss, but renewal. Driving south, I carry that reminder with me. A sharper sense of scale, a slower rhythm in my breath, and a new perspective. Wonder isn't a destination, but a way of moving through the world. Places like this insist you remember. They make sure you don't forget.